subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis: The God of Ninja has arrived in the Marvel Universe, an American comic. Roger is a young man who's transmigrated from the Ninja World of Naruto into the superhero world of Marvel. Armed with the ninja system from the Ninja World, Roger is ready to become the God of Ninja in the Marvel Universe. Chapter 1. My Ninja Way. Roger, I have a commission here. I hope you can accept it. Coulson, wearing a black suit and whose hairline had been seriously moved back, stood in front of Roger's desk and said calmly, "You know the rules. First, tell me the general details of the commission, and then I can decide whether to accept your commission." Roger, leaning against the back of the chair, opened his eyes and looked at Coulson, then leaned back on the back of the chair and closed his eyes again. 2 weeks ago, Tony Stark went to Afghanistan to deliver the local American weapons. After the transaction was completed, Tony Stark was attacked and kidnapped on the way back to the U.S. military base. His whereabouts are currently unknown. I hope you can go to Afghanistan and save Tony Stark. Cole briefly described the contents of the commission and the general situation. Although Roger looked like he was about to fall asleep, when he heard the name of Tony Stark, he was completely awake. Tony Stark, it seems that what should have happened still happened. Roger opened his eyes and sat up. Then, he took a scroll from his desk drawer and placed it in front of Coulson. Just as Roger was about to open the scroll, he suddenly remembered something and put the scroll back into the drawer. "I have something to deal with now. Come and find me at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon." As soon as he finished speaking, Roger's figure completely disappeared in front of Coulson, as if he had teleported. Although the scene before him didn't conform to common sense, Coulson was already used to it. After all, this was not the first time he had seen Roger disappear instantly. Through the flying thunder god technique, Hiraishin no Jutsu, Roger instantly moved from his office to the roof of a warehouse next to the Hudson River. And here, there was another Roger, who exactly looked like him, waiting for him. "It's been hard on you." As soon as he finished speaking, Roger, who had been waiting here for a long time, turned into a cloud of smoke and disappeared into the air. After removing the shadow clone, Roger received all the information the Avatar had gathered. Roger, on the surface, was a detective with his own office. But in fact, he was a ninja. To be precise, he was a ninja who had transmigrated into this world. More precisely, he was a ninja who should have transmigrated to the Naruto universe, but had wandered into the Marvel universe. Just like the reason for transmigration was always strange, the cheat that the transmigrator possessed, or the golden finger, was even more bizarre. Roger's golden finger was very simple. It was a system called the Ninja God. This system was also straightforward. It was a system that only had 2 functions: commission and exchange. By completing the tasks entrusted by others, Roger could obtain something called ninja coins. And ninja coins could be exchanged on the exchange page for anything other than humans. For example, ninjutsu, blood succession, secret technique, ninja tools, biju. As long as he had enough ninja coins, Roger could exchange all the ninjutsu in the Naruto universe, all the bloodline limit, Kekkei Jinkai, and bloodline selection, Kekkei Toda. He could even exchange all 9-tailed beasts, making him a true god of ninjas. The future that the system could give was terrific. The only drawback was that it was not as easy to get ninja coins. Roger had been in this world for 3 years, but the amount of ninja coins he obtained was still not much, only barely enough to exchange for 9 ninjutsu. For example, the exchange taught Roger about the newly released Shadow Clone. As for the high-level ninjutsu like Flying Thunder God, that was the system's friendly care for the transmigration of newcomers. It was one of the rewards of the Transmigration Novice package. If he hadn't mastered this kind of S-level ninjutsu from the beginning, Roger couldn't have the ability to complete the task, and it was even more impossible to exchange ninja coins to increase his strength bit by bit. The information about the mission given by Kingpin is accurate. This doesn't match his character. The main reason why Roger did not immediately accept the commission from Coulson was that he still had an unfinished commission on him. The 4th rule of the commission was that before the completion of the commission, he could not accept the next commission. This commission rule was not Roger's rule, but the system rules. As for similar rules, other than this one, there were 4 other rules. As for whether there would be more entrustment rules in the future, Roger himself was not sure. However, no matter what, the entrustment rules set by the system were still relatively reasonable, and there would not be any extremely unreasonable rules. After understanding the general situation in the warehouse, Roger did not hesitate. He directly jumped down from the roof of the warehouse and came to the door of the warehouse. On the surface, this warehouse was a warehouse belonging to a shipping company, but this was the most extensive base in New York. More than 100 ninja of the hand were stationed there all year round. Roger did not know why Kingpin would go against the hand, but since Kingpin's commission had passed the system's judgment, and Kingpin himself was very willing to pay, Roger did not mind being Kingpin's mercenary. Only by writing on the commission scroll, reading books, and passing the system's judgment could one obtain ninja coins. The system determined the number of ninja coins, which was the first rule of the commission. Because of such a rule, Roger had not received many missions in the past 3 years, severely delaying his steps to becoming a ninja god. Compared to the guy next door, who had become a true god in less than 2 years, Roger felt that he had significantly reduced the overall score of the transmigrators. When Roger appeared at the warehouse door, those ninjas disguised as security guards who pretended to be idle immediately noticed his appearance. Although they were all ninjas, Roger did not believe that these people who did not even know ninjutsu and only knew how to cut people with ninja knives were his peers. How could the welcoming ceremony be really fiery? Although these few ninjas did not know what Roger wanted to do, when they saw him suddenly standing in the same place and looking like he was going to blow air, these ninjas suddenly felt a strong sense of deadly crisis. Fire style, great fire annihilation. Although chanting the name of ninjutsu did not affect the power of ninjutsu, Roger still liked to read out the name of ninjutsu before using ninjutsu. No reason. It was just because it looks cool. As Roger exhaled, a flame was spat out from his mouth. When this flame first appeared, it was only as thick as a finger. However, as the distance increased, the flame became bigger and bigger. Finally, it turned into a massive sea of fire dozens of meters long. Like the roar of a fire god, it slammed into the warehouse door. It instantly broke through the door and rushed into the warehouse. Madara Uchiha's Great Fire Annihilation, Katan. G. Kamekyaku is really awesome. Chapter 2. Do you want to dance? There were 2 forms of ninjutsu exchanged by the system. One was a standard version, and the other was a personalized version. As the name implies, the standard version is extremely common ninjutsu. The standard power, the average chakra consumption, no unique characteristics. Everything needs to be developed by oneself. The personalized version was a version with a personalized jutsu of a strong character. For example, Roger's fire style, Great Fire Annihilation that he had just used, is a customized jutsu of Madara Uchiha. The power was more remarkable, and the chakra consumption didn't increase much. Moreover, during the exchange process, the experience of Madara Uchiha regarding this ninjutsu is directly obtained. He will either spend time slowly researching to become stronger or directly spend money to become stronger. Although the power of a personalized version of ninjutsu was more potent and the number of hand seals was lower, the number of ninja coins needed was also higher. This was also one of the balances given by the system. However, forming hand seals was less of an advantage. For Roger, this advantage did not exist. On top of the Flying Thunder God technique, he could also use the Sealing Technique, Fuinjutsu, and all 7 chakra attributes. Flying Thunder God Technique, Sealing Technique, and 7 attributes chakra. These 3 were all the rewards in Roger's novice gift package. Roger only exchanged the standard version for some common ninjutsu, such as the Shadow Clones Jutsu. But there are some ninjutsus that he exchanged for the personalized version. After the surging sea of fire poured into the warehouse and caused terrifying damage, a small portion of the ninjas stationed in the warehouse was burned into ashes. As for the others, although they were lucky enough to survive, they suffered a few injuries on them. This was the difference between having ninjutsu and not having ninjutsu. They were both ninjas, but the two clearly in existence from a different world. Roger's fire style, Great Fire Annihilation, lasted only 5 to 6 seconds before stopping. It didn't last long, but left a terrifying impression on these ninjas. Was this done by a human being? The wave of flame directly took away a quarter of the ninjas in the warehouse. Even so, those lucky survivors did not have the slightest intention of leaving. They all took out their weapons, looking like they wanted to kill Roger, even if they must die with him. Your momentum is good, but unfortunately, you are too weak. Roger did not care about the killing intent emitted by the ninja of the hand. It was just a group of small minions that could not hurt him at all. Under the watchful eyes of these ninjas, Roger casually walked into the warehouse. It was as if he was not walking into a warehouse where a group of murderous ninjas gathered. Instead, he was walking into a large shopping mall surging with people. Perhaps it was because Roger's invisible contempt provoked them, or maybe it was because the Great Fire Annihilation from before had left a deep impression on them. Not long after Roger entered the warehouse, a ninja of the hand member attacked him from the dark, and an extremely sharp ninja blade directly pointed at his vital point. Do you want to dance too? When a ninja came to him, Roger dodged his strike, grabbed his right hand that held the ninja blade, and said a sentence that the ninja could never understand. In this world, no one could understand this joke. It was truly a loss. Roger ignored the ninja and directly took his ninja blade. He then used the ninja blade to slide across his neck. From dodging to killing with his opponent's weapon, Roger's actions seemed to be done easily, as if he was not killing a skilled ninja, but a chicken that stretched out its neck. Don't waste your time. Let's all go together. After he finished speaking, Roger made an international gesture to the ninja of the hand and raised his middle finger. Although the language was different, the meaning of the middle finger was understood by all the people in this world. And what made them even angrier was, just like that, Roger casually killed one of their companions. He threw the ninja who had already lost his life to the side, as if he was throwing away trash. Without needing anyone to issue an order, these ninjas rushed toward Roger one by one. And at the same time, they let out waves of wailing. In the face of the collective charge of these ninjas, Roger did not retreat, but advanced instead. He also rushed toward them with a hint of excitement on his face. Although the ninjas had the advantage of numbers and home court, in front of Roger, who had chakra, not only did they not have any advantage, they were easily killed by Roger and forced to retreat. Different from the attacks of these ninjas, a single slash from Roger could take the life of one of the ninjas. At this time, Roger did not use ninjutsu or illusion techniques, only using the most straightforward and purest physical technique. There were no unnecessary movements, no hesitation, and every blade swing was just right. He would not use too much strength or deal too much damage. Everything was just right. When surrounded by enemies and attacked from all directions, Roger finally understood why Madara Uchiha would say such a classic quote. Do you also want to dance? In this environment surrounded by enemies, a battle was no longer just a battle. This feeling of dancing on the Grim Reaper's scythe, turning battle into a dance of slaughter, and one person controlling life and death while fighting against others if possible. Roger was even willing to continue this feeling. However, this idea of his soon came to a halt. When a ninja blade in his hand stabbed into the heart of the last ninja, he was the only one left standing in the warehouse. In addition to the ninjas who died in the Great Fire Annihilation, the other ninjas who joined hands were killed in one blow. The thick smell of blood enveloped the entire warehouse. The ground was filled with the corpses of the ninjas, the bright red blood, dyed floor as the whole red. After confirming that there were no survivors in the warehouse, Roger took out the Sanwoo mobile phone he bought from the black market and dialed the number left by Kingpin. The person who answered the call was a deep male voice, but it was not Kingpin himself. Tell your boss that the commission for the warehouse has been completed. He has 12 hours to pay. After that, Roger hung up the phone. After completing all of this, Roger directly used Flying Thunder God technique and returned to his detective office. When he returned to the office, the first thing he saw was Carlson, who was sitting on the sofa and casually browsing the newspaper. Why are you still here? Didn't I tell you to come back tomorrow? Coulson did not answer. Instead, he looked at Roger seriously and then asked helplessly, "Can you take less bloody tasks in the future? Although your evaluation in the Bureau is harmless to ordinary people and does not need special detention, you have to consider the impact." As an experienced agent, Coulson could tell at a glance that Roger had just finished an extremely intense battle. Although he did not suffer any injuries, the blood of the ninjas inevitably splashed on his body, making him look as if he had just come out of a slaughterhouse. Chapter 3. It was actually a scam, forget it. Is it a threat to ordinary citizens? It's just a sentence from your country's Strategic Defense and Logistics Defense Department. If not for the fact that you sent out special forces 3 times in a row and failed to capture me, I would have been locked up in some unknown mysterious prison in the name of threatening the ordinary citizens. Roger didn't let Coulson speak a single word. That is a necessary program problem. It is the kind of program that must be carried out, being refuted so bluntly by Roger. Even if Coulson was an experienced agent, he could not help but reveal an awkward expression. Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement, and damn it, can't you change your name? Whenever he reads this name, Roger seriously thinks about whether those higher-ups were drunk with vodka when choosing this name. We are dealing with this problem. I believe there will be a new name soon. Although he was one of them, Coulson had some objections to this somewhat awkward name. Every time he went out on a mission, as long as he said the name of the office, the others would have an expression of "What kind of joke are you playing?" I hope so. I'm going back. If interested, you can continue to stay here and read expired newspapers. After saying that, Roger left the office with Flying Thunder God technique and returned to his secret den. In the past 3 years, Roger had made a lot of enemies in New York because of his commission, and most of them were people and organizations who did not care about the law and only used violence to deal with problems. To be safe and avoid being shot in the head by a sniper rifle in his sleep or hit by a rocket, Roger used a very secretive identity and spent 8 figures of dollars on buying a small den. More than 500 square meters, high-rise, and could overlook the entire New York Central Park. Even in New York City, it was still quiet and pleasant. It was a good hideout. No one would have thought that a private detective would live in such a place. Moreover, Roger did not have to worry that his whereabouts would be exposed. Ever since he moved here, no one had seen him go out. Every time he went out, he would use Flying Thunder God technique to teleport to the office, saving time and effort, one step straight to the destination directly. There was no need to worry about the traffic jam on the road. At noon the next day, Roger returned to the office through Flying Thunder God technique. Then he saw Coulson sitting on the sofa reading the newspaper. This scene looked no different from yesterday. The only difference was that the newspaper in Coulson's hand was no longer the expired newspaper, but the New York Times that had just been released today. It was unknown whether it was intentional, but the newspaper headline in front of Roger was the commission he had carried out yesterday. Heaven's shocking slaughter. New York's thrilling slaughter, 115 gangsters died in the warehouse. Is this distortion of human nature or the depravity of morality? Although ninja union and gangsters were 2 completely different professions in a strict sense, it was obvious that the reporter responsible for writing this news didn't know about this. However, Roger liked the small title the reporter gave him, which evoked some of his beautiful memories. It seems that you care about Tony Stark. The coffee in front of Coulson is already cold. He had come to the office a long time ago. His father is one of the founders, and he is also the most important weapon supplier of the government, so we don't want anything to happen to him, Coulson said with a serious face, but Roger did not believe his explanation. If they really care about the safety of Tony Stark, they would send someone to rescue Tony Stark earlier. The 10 rings hiding in the Afghanistan mountains might be difficult for others to find, but for them, it was only a slight nuisance at most. Whatever you say. After saying that, Roger took out a commission scroll from his desk drawer. Just as he was about to open the scroll and ask Coulson to write the commission in black and white, he suddenly thought of a matter. He took out a mobile phone from the drawer and logged into his account. When he saw the balance of fewer than 5 digits on the account, his face became a little ugly. I'm being reneged. After refreshing the page several times, Roger had to admit that Kingpin had revoked the commission. Kingpin the underworld king of New York, actually reneged him. Although this matter seemed a bit funny, the system notification bar showed 3 words that had not been completed. The second rule of the commission was that the commission could only be considered completed after the reward has been handed. My last commission was reneged on by the client, so you need to wait here for another 5 minutes. I will come back in 5 minutes. As soon as he finished speaking, Roger's figure disappeared from Coulson's sight. He had already waited for an entire morning. It didn't matter if he waited another 5 minutes. Coulson had no objections to this. Although Coulson did not know who Roger's last client was, he was very sure that the client was very unwise. Some people's money could never be repudiated, and it was best not even to have the idea of revoking. Through Flying Thunder God technique, Roger was teleported to the top floor of the Chrysler Building. The Chrysler Building was where Kingpin's headquarters was located. Moreover, before the teleportation, Roger had used sensing technique to sense Kingpin's location. The sensing technique, Kanshi no Jutsu, was obtained from 3 years of coin accumulation and was exchanged from the system. It originally belonged to the second Hokage, Tobarama Senju. This technique did not require hand seals, and its insight was highly accurate. Even if the target was thousands of miles away, it could accurately sense the target's life, energy, and chakra strength. Other than the number of ninja coins required to exchange for it, this technique could be considered to have no flaws. Because in this world, other than Roger himself, no one else had chakra, the system slightly adjusted this technique. The ability to sense the chakra was replaced with the ability to sense the life energy. When he received the commission, Roger and Kingpin met once, so he was very clear about the life energy of Kingpin. Before using Flying Thunder God technique, he sensed Kingpin's location in advance and found that Kingpin was just in the Chrysler Building. The Flying Thunder God's formula on the roof of the Chrysler Building was left behind by him a long time ago. Not only the Chrysler Building, but even the roof of the Stark Building also had the Flying Thunder God's formula. In the past 3 years, Roger left hundreds of Flying Thunder God's formula in New York, big and small, so that he could teleport to various areas of New York through the Flying Thunder God technique. Chapter 4. Never revoke a ninja's commission. Leaving behind Flying Thunder God's formula is a good habit, especially when it was needed. This habit could help a lot. Moreover, after possessing the sensing technique, even if there are many Flying Thunder God's formula lying around, it wouldn't affect the accuracy of the Flying Thunder God technique's teleportation. Kingpin was only a few dozen meters from Roger's current location on the top floor of Chrysler Building's office. If Roger used the method of breaking through the wall, then the distance between them would be further reduced. However, Roger did not intend to do so because he is a gentleman. Or rather, he was a refined ninja. Kingpin might have never thought someone would come down from the roof to find him, so no one is stopping Roger on the way to Kingpin's office. Even Kingpin's golden-haired secretary with a curvy figure only regarded him as a regular visitor. Just as the golden-haired secretary with the cute face and an impressive figure was about to ask Roger if he had made an appointment, Roger walked past her and pushed open the door to Kingpin's office. "Sir, you can't enter." Before the golden-haired secretary could finish speaking, Kingpin waved at her, signaling her to leave the office. "Mr. Kingpin, I never thought that you, who has a big family, would renege on a ninja's hard-earned money." Although Roger's tone was extremely calm, Kingpin and his 4 subordinates in the office could feel the anger in his words. Before Kingpin could say anything, his 4 subordinates in suits and ties decisively pulled out their pistols from their holsters and aimed them directly at Roger's head. With 4 pistols pointing at his head, according to common sense, Roger should stop moving forward to avoid further provoking Kingpin and his 4 subordinates. However, Roger did not do so. He walked towards Kingpin at a moderate pace, ignoring the 4 pistols. Just as one of them was about to move the muzzle of the gun and ruthlessly shoot at Roger's thigh, he suddenly discovered that an irresistible force strangely enveloped his body, binding all his movement abilities. Temporary paralysis technique, Kanashibari no Jutsu, was basic ninjutsu that even a genin could learn. Temporary paralysis technique was only basic ninjutsu. Its level was not high, and the amount of chakra consumed was small. However, in the hands of a talented person, This ninjutsu's power was completely different. Although the temporary paralysis technique that Roger had exchanged was only a standard version, after 3 years of continuous training, his temporary paralysis technique had already possessed extreme effectiveness. As long as he did not remove it, the time that the body-securing technique could bind ordinary people was at least 30 minutes. If aimed at an ordinary person with a weaker constitution, the temporary paralysis technique could last for several hours. Although the 4 subordinates of Kingpin had decent physiques, they were still at the standard of ordinary humans. As long as Roger did not remove the body-securing technique, they would not even be able to blink for the next half an hour. You dare to come to my office alone and speak to me with such an attitude? You are the first to ever do this to me. After he finished speaking, Kingpin, who was sitting, stood up and displayed his physique that surpassed ordinary people. At the same time, he showed his astonishingly imposing manner as the overlord of the underworld. That's because you have not met me before. Roger did not pay any attention to the imposing manner that Kingpin exuded. He slowly came in front of him. Then, he took the phone from the desk and placed it in front of Kingpin. Now, pay up the reward. After saying that, Roger raised his head and looked at Kingpin with contempt. Bang! Kingpin did not answer Roger. Instead, he raised his stout right hand and slammed it heavily on the table. The huge force immediately caused the desk to break. Visible cracks appeared on Kingpin's right hand. Kid, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you have grasped some strange abilities. This is New York, my territory. As soon as he finished speaking, Kingpin felt an intense pain coming from his right hand. His right hand is pierced. When did he make a move? Kingpin didn't notice it at all. Although Kingpin was the overlord of the underworld, he was different from the other underworld leaders. He had never stopped training because he was in a high position. His huge body was not because of fat, but because his muscles were too developed. Not only that, but he was also a top fighting expert. Every day, he would practice with fighting experts from all over the world, and each time, he would fight against 10. Even so, he had never lost, and the sparring time had never exceeded 20 seconds. As for his opponents, they either died or were severely injured. Because he was highly proficient in fighting, Roger's attack that had utterly exceeded his perception shocked him. Only those proficient in fighting could truly understand how terrifying that attack was. There were no signs or reactions. If not for the feeling of his right hand being pierced, he wouldn't even know that Roger had already finished an attack. I repeat, pay up. Now, looking at Roger's eyes, Kingpin felt like he stared at death himself. Kingpin picked up the phone with his intact left hand and silently dialed the number. Transfer the money. Transfer it now. Almost at the moment when Kingpin hung up the phone, Roger received a message that received $20 million. This kunai will be left for you as a souvenir. In the future, remember that you must not revoke a ninja's commission in the future. Afterward, Roger directly disappeared from Kingpin and returned to his office through flying Thunder God technique. When his figure disappeared from the office, Kingpin picked up the phone again and dialed a number. Send out a message and tell them that the case at Hudson River Warehouse yesterday was done by a private detective called Roger. Also, inform the sharpshooter to come back. Roger did not know what happened after that. If he knew, he would have left some gifts for Kingpin's left hand, which was holding the phone. After returning to the office, he glanced at the timer on his phone. 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Not bad. After casually throwing the phone back into the drawer, he took out the commission scroll and opened it on his desk. You can now write down the details and rewards of the commission on the scroll. The moment Kingpin completed the transfer, the system completed the commission and simultaneously sent 10 ninja coins to Roger. Cole soon finished writing the content and reward of the commission. After seeing that the commission was only $50,000, Roger frowned slightly. Only $50,000. It seems that you are not particularly concerned about the safety of Tony Stark. Kingpin was willing to give out $20 million for the commission, and what needed to be solved was only Ninja of the Hand. Tony Stark, the famous billionaire and playboy, the only son of Howard Stark, the most important weapon supplier of the American military, is only worth $50,000 in the eyes of the National Defense and Logistics Office. Tony Stark could casually pick a bottle of red wine at home, and the price will be higher than this. Are you serious? Although Roger did not particularly care about the reward of the commission, he still did not believe it when he saw that it was only a mere 50,000. This is a private commission. There is no way to reimburse it, so it can only be this much. Chapter 5. Saving Tony Stark. As Coulson spoke, Roger glanced at the system commission page. Mission content: rescue Tony Stark, who was kidnapped. Mission status: incomplete. Mission reward: 10 ninja coins. Roger was not surprised by this result. According to the previous commission approved by the system, the possibility of passing this commission was very high. After all, this was a commission involving Tony Stark. The only thing that surprised him was that the commission reward given by the system was a little low. 10 ninja coins, the same reward as the reward for Kingpin's commission to destroy the ninja of the hand. The targets involved in Kingpin's commission were some unknown ninja of the hand, so it was normal for the commission reward to be a little low. But this commission involves Tony Stark, and the system only rewarded 10 ninja coins. $50,000 is $50,000. When do you plan to set off? Roger asked. If possible, I hope you can come with me to Afghanistan now. I have already prepared the equipment needed there in advance. Coulson's eyes lit up, and he immediately answered. We can set off now, but I won't go with you. I don't want to be on a plane for more than 10 hours. After that, Roger handed Coulson a piece of Flying Thunder God Technique kunai and said, take this kunai with you. When you arrive, call me. I will appear in front of you. Coulson never thought that Roger would use such a method to set off. However, he soon realized something. This kunai is the critical item for Roger's teleportation ability. If we can analyze the secret of this kunai, maybe after this thought appeared in his mind, Coulson's gaze at Flying Thunder God Technique was subtly changed. Don't think about it. Even if I give this kunai to you directly, you won't be able to figure out the secret of the teleportation. So you should give up as soon as possible. Roger couldn't read his mind, but as long as he looked at the current Coulson, he would know what he was thinking. The dream to study Flying Thunder God Technique's secret through Flying Thunder God's formulas met with an unrequited bitterness. Are you not worried that the secret will be leaked? I am worried, but it definitely won't be because of you. In the end, Coulson brought Flying Thunder God Technique and left bitterly. Then he flew straight to Afghanistan through the plane arranged in advance. After Coulson left, Roger lay on the sofa and opened the exchange page in the system. Complete body, Susanoo, Rinnegan, Tailed Beast Karama, CNFA Wu Dun, True Thousands of Hands, Top Transformed Buddha, Summit Enlightenment, whenever he saw these glittering ninjutsu and bloodline limit. When can I exchange all of these? After calming down a little, Roger looked at bloodline limit, who was marked with 300 ninja coins. Sharingan. In order to exchange for the Sharingan, Roger had stopped trading ninjutsu a long time ago and slowly saved the ninja coins. Although the process of saving the coin was a bit difficult, he could quickly exchange it for this bloodline limit he had wanted for so long. Ninja coins available. 295-inch. As long as he successfully rescued Tony Stark, Roger could smoothly exchange for Sharingan. And then he would have bloodline limit, who was very powerful in the early stage and even more awesome in the late stage. Late at night, Roger's shadow clone, who stayed in the office, received a call from Coulson and informed him that he had just fallen asleep. Can't you call later? Although he was a little angry, but in the end, Roger got up and put on clothes suitable for battle and then began to perceive Flying Thunder God's formula, who was far away in Afghanistan. Ever since he had mastered Flying Thunder God Technique, this was the first time he had tried to sense a technique that was so far away. This made him start to worry whether there would be any risk of accident in this super long-distance teleportation. In the beginning, Roger could only vaguely sense the extremely vague Flying Thunder God's formula. But when he used the sensing technique simultaneously, the vague Flying Thunder God's formula gradually became clear. After consuming more than 10 times more chakra than usual, he finally established a connection with the Flying Thunder God's formula in Afghanistan. Then he disappeared from the bedroom in an instant. In just an instant, the scene in front of him changed from a familiar bedroom to a dusty Afghanistan mountain. Aren't you afraid of the heat? Looking at Coulson, who was sweating but still wearing a black suit, Roger asked in confusion. The suit is the armor of a gentleman. It can protect me from harm, Coulson replied in an extremely formal tone. Roger ignored Coulson and focused his gaze on the vehicle that Coulson had prepared. Isn't your organization quite rich? Can't you change to a better car? This car looks older than me. Beside Coulson was an old SUV that would not be surprising even if it were scrapped in the next second. It's a private task. It's not convenient to use the transportation tools in the bureau. Coulson continued to answer in an extremely formal tone. It's strange to believe you. Let's go and save that playboy. After saying that, Roger directly opened the passenger seat door and sat straight on it. At this time, Tony, who was locked up in an unknown cave, looked at the pile of parts in front of him with a serious face and said with emotion, "It will take about 1 or 2 hours to assemble, and then we will be able to leave this damn cave." Insun, standing next to Tony, had the same emotional expression. He never thought Tony Stark could still create such fantastic work, even in such an environment. This may be the talent that makes people extremely jealous and eager. Let's start. Which way? We don't know the whereabouts of Tony Stark now. Coulson, driving the SUV, asked Roger, who was closing his eyes. Use this speed to drive north for half an hour. After that, we will have a clue. Roger did not open his eyes as he casually replied. Not long after he set off, he used his chakra sensing technique to check his surroundings. Although he did not directly discover Tony's whereabouts, he found a group of rats hiding in the cave. He deliberately hid in the cave, and judging from the strength of his life, the people inside were all adult males without exception. Roger had no way to determine whether these people were the Ten Rings members who kidnapped Tony or not, but since they were all people who lived in this place, even if they were not the Ten Rings people, they were at least affiliated with the Ten Rings. News between colleagues was often more reliable. This was like a bank in New York being robbed. The police in New York could not determine the identity of the robbers the first time, but the gangs in New York could. Chapter 6: Temporary Paralysis Technique in the Mountainous Area of Afghanistan, where yellow sand was rolling. An old off-road vehicle was moving quickly. The bumpy road made Roger completely give up on resting. Are you sure there are people here? According to Roger's instructions, Coulson drove this old off-road vehicle for half an hour in the mountainous area without a road. But until now, he did not see anyone. You will see them soon. Not long after Roger finished speaking, a group of terrorists with various weapons rushed out from the small hill in front of them and fired a few shots at their car. Bang, 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 the bullets hit the SUV without any suspense, causing the SUV that had been running for half an hour to stop. A gust of hot air came out from the hood of the SUV. How are you going to deal with them? Seeing the group of terrorists walking towards them, Coulson frowned slightly and asked for Roger's opinion. Roger did not reply to him. Instead, he opened the car door and got out of the car. Then, he walked toward the group of terrorists. A terrorist who was walking at the front shouted at Roger. At the same time, he shoots the automatic rifle in his hand, trying to stop Roger from moving forward. Roger could not understand what the terrorist was saying. Even if he could understand, he would not stop. Just as the terrorist was about to raise the automatic rifle in his hand and give Roger a shot, Roger disappeared in front of him like a ghost. Body flickering technique. To deal with this group of terrorists, there was no need to use Flying Thunder God technique. The body flickering technique was enough. After using the body flickering technique, Roger's speed surpassed the limits humans could capture with their naked eyes, causing an effect that seemed to disappear instantly. When his figure appeared again, the terrorist shouting at him covered his neck in extreme pain. Fresh blood continuously flowed out from between his fingers. After dealing with this terrorist, Roger did not plan to stop. He used the body flickering technique several more times. Every time his figure appeared, a terrorist would fall to the ground. From the moment the first terrorist fell to the ground to when all 7 of the terrorists fell to the ground, the total time spent between them was only 3 seconds. This ghost-like killing method completely suppressed the group of terrorists, and a look of horror appeared on their faces. Not only were the terrorists scared, but even Coulson, who was sitting in the car, had a look of disbelief. Was this guy human? As an agent, Coulson had seen many bloody killings, but it was the first time he had seen someone like Roger. With a raise of his hand, he could easily take the life of others. The slaughter went like a fleeting cloud and flowing river, which shows a different kind of beauty. Was this a ninja? Carlson felt that he needed to understand the ancient profession of ninja again. After the initial panic, the remaining terrorists finally reacted. They raised the automatic rifles in their hands, intending to hail all the bullets on Roger. However, their thoughts were destined to stop at the idea. After sensing that they had the intention to resist, Roger instantly cast temporary paralysis technique, ultimately binding their movements. The remaining 10 or so terrorists seemed to have lost their souls. They remained motionless in their original positions, maintaining the motion of raising their guns. Looking at the incomparably strange scene in front of him, Carlson unconsciously swallowed his saliva. Then, he silently remembered this ability he did not know how to name. After binding the remaining terrorists, Roger returned to the car without looking back. He said to Carlson, "You are an agent. I'll leave the interrogation to you. This kind of tedious work needed to be solved by professionals." After hesitating for a few seconds, Carlson opened the car door and walked down. He came to the group of terrorists who could not even move a finger. After removing all the weapons on the bodies of the more than 10 terrorists, Carlson signaled Roger to dispel his ability. After Roger removed the temporary paralysis technique, these terrorists finally recovered their ability to move and then unconsciously took a few steps back. After recovering their ability to move, the first thought of these terrorists was to run away, and the farther they ran, the better. But they finally gave up this idea, silently standing in place, looking at Carlson without saying a word. After a short communication, Carlson successfully learned the whereabouts of Tony Stark from these terrorists. Although this group of terrorists was not good people, they had nothing to do with the 10 Rings who kidnapped Tony. Of course, as peers in the same area, they had a detailed understanding of some of the 10 Rings' recent actions. They did not know that the 10 Rings kidnapped the famous Tony Stark. They only knew that under the protection of the U.S. Army, the 10 Rings kidnapped an American weapon dealer and then imprisoned the weapon dealer in a base more than 100 kilometers away. After confirming the base's location several times, Carlson returned to the car and reported the information to Roger. "How do you plan to deal with these people?" Before driving, Carlson suddenly asked, "What else can we do?" "Of course, we let them go. I'm not a psycho killer." After Carlson and Roger drove away, the terrorists finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then they began to regret why they came out of the cave. If they did not come out, they would not have met the person who was like the god of death, nor would they have inexplicably lost 8 people. The SUV was getting further and further away, but these terrorists still did not leave, nor did they take the weapons that had been thrown on the ground. The profession of terrorists was too dangerous. What are they really going to do? When Carlson drove the off-road vehicle toward the cave where Tony was imprisoned, Tony and Insan were also expediting the assembly of the suit. In this cave with several monitors, if the terrorists outside found out that they were assembling the armor instead of the Jericho missile, they would no longer have to think about how to leave this cave. At this time, Raza, who was in another cave, felt a little uneasy today. This was the first time he had this feeling after kidnapping Tony Stark. As a member of the 10 Rings with considerable status, Raza always believed in his intuition. This was also why he could become one of the leaders with his own base and subordinates from an ordinary member of the 10 Rings. Under the guidance of his intuition, Raza came to the cave where the monitor screen was placed, intending to understand the work progress of Tony Stark. Where is Tony Stark? Where is he? Raza saw Insan on the monitor screen, but did not see Tony. He was there just now. A member of the 10 Rings beside Raza quickly replied, "Go and see what's going on." For some reason, the uneasiness in Raza's heart became more prominent. Chapter 7. Tony's Escape. Insan. Stark. 2 terrorists with automatic rifles ran to the cave that held Tony, opened the observation hole on the iron door, and shouted, "Say something, answer him." Tony whispered to Insan, who was helping him put on the armor. "They speak Hungarian, and I don't know Hungarian." "Then just say any Hungarian words." Insan had no choice but to stop what he was doing and use his uncertain Hungarian to reply. However, it was clear that Insan's answer did not satisfy the terrorists at the door, who continued to ask loudly. A few seconds later, the terrorist, who had not received a further reply from Insan, gestured for his companions to open the iron door of the cave. Boom! The moment the terrorist opened the iron door, an explosion blasted the thick iron door, and the terrorist at the door away. After seeing this scene from the monitor, the usual cold expression of Raza finally changed, and he immediately gave the order. Everyone get your weapons. Don't let Stark run away. The next second, Lazard suddenly remembered something, picked up the walkie-talkie in front of him, and issued the second command. Don't kill Stark. I want him alive. At this time, Ensign in the cave continued to help Tony wear the armor. How's the explosion? Tony, who had already entered the armor, could not see the effect of the explosion, so he asked Ensign in front of him. The explosion is perfect. Of course, this is a bomb I made. Tony never doubted his ability. The reason why he asked Ensign was to prove his thoughts. I'm almost done. Ensign's tone became a little excited. Wait, activate the power system first. Ensign put down the wires he was about to connect in his hand, turned around, and came to a computer with a shabby appearance but complete function. What should I do? The computer was installed with the program to activate the power system of the combat suit. But this program was completed by Tony alone, so Ensign did not know how to start the program. Press the function button F11 and tell me after you see the progress bar. Under Tony's guidance, Ensign successfully activated the power system of the armor. He then returned to Tony and continued with his previous work. After completing the final assembly of the armor, Ensign returned to the computer and a worried expression appeared on his face. We need more time. The installation of the power system of the armor was less than half done. It would still take a lot of time to complete the installation. Hey, I'll go help you buy some time, Ensign calmly said to Tony, who was in his combat suit. Then, ignoring Tony's dissuasion, he directly ran to the side of the terrorist who had been killed by the explosion and picked up the automatic rifle on the ground. Ensign! In his combat suit, Tony shouted, hoping to stop Ensign from leaving. However, Ensign did not turn around. He picked up the automatic rifle in his hand and ran out. At the same time, he pulled the trigger. Bang, 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 the gunshots were getting farther and farther away, and Tony's face became more and more stern. Not long after, Tony heard a burst of intense gunshots from his combat suit, and then there were no more gunshots. Relying on the time Ensign bought, the combat suit's power system finally finished its installation. When the system finished the installation, a burst of mechanical sounds rang out in the cave. The initially bright cave quickly dimmed and became dark. On the rugged mountain road, 20 to 30 kilometers away from the cave, Roger, sitting in the off-road vehicle, suddenly felt a different energy fluctuation. This energy fluctuation? Damn, it's still too slow. Although Roger had never come into contact with the arc reactor before, he was sure that the energy fluctuation just now was caused by the arc reactor on Tony's chest. In this backward mountainous area of Afghanistan, other high-end technology couldn't exist, so energy fluctuation would only come from the arc reactor on Tony's chest. There was only one possibility for the energy output of the arc reactor to increase to this level instantly. Tony had activated the steel combat suit, Mark I. If Tony had not activated Mark I, Roger would not have been able to sense the energy output of the arc reactor. The energy required to prevent the shrapnel from entering the heart was too small, and it was impossible to sense it accurately. However, it was different now. When he activated Mark I, the arc reactor on Tony's chest released tremendous energy. This allowed Roger to sense Tony's location. Something has happened to Tony. I have to go over first. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure disappeared from the SUV. Although he had sensed Tony's location, Roger was somewhat depressed because Tony was still more than 20 kilometers away from him. Without leaving Flying Thunder God's formula behind, he could only rely on the body flickering technique to travel. Although the technique could allow the user's speed to be imperceivable to the naked eye, causing the effect of flashing. But in the end, this technique was only to gather chakra on foot and then strengthen the chakra to carry out the high-speed movement. In other words, the road still had to be run by yourself, but the technique could make you run faster. I hate running, especially this long-distance, super high-speed running. Although he complained like this, Roger did not remove the body flickering technique from his body. His whole body disappeared like a flash and reappeared several hundred meters away, repeating the process continuously. While Roger was using the body flickering technique to travel crazily, Tony was wearing a steel combat suit to fight the terrorists. Although Mark I looked rough, it did not affect its power. The gun in the terrorist's hand could not penetrate Mark I's outer shell. Tony, wearing Mark I, was like a god of war that was invulnerable to swords and spears as he rampaged through the dark passage, constantly walking toward the exit outside. After Tony dealt with the terrorists in the passage, he finally saw the exit and found Insun, who had been shot and fallen to the ground. "Be careful," Insun, lying in a pool of blood, shouted at Tony. Along with Insun's reminder, a grenade was fired from the launcher. Boom! This grenade flew past a few dozen centimeters in front of Tony, blasting a large hole in the wall in front of him. The person who fired this grenade was none other than Raza. After seeing Insun charge alone, disregarding his life and death, Raza roughly guessed Tony's plan. As a top weapon inventor, Tony Stark would never be unprepared. So, when his subordinates went in to catch Tony, Raza did not go in but stayed at the hole with his weapon, waiting for Tony to come out. I don't know if Raza's marksmanship is too bad or Tony's luck is too good. This grenade did not cause any damage to Tony. In return, Tony activated the small missile on the left hand of Mark I and gave Raza a more powerful gift. Chapter 8. Tony caught again, boom. Just like the grenade that Raza fired, Tony's tiny missile also did not hit the target but the wall behind Raza. The huge explosion created a big hole in the wall, and the flying gravel buried Raza. Although the small missile did not hit Raza directly, it made Raza lose the ability to fight and move. Tony did not pay much attention to Raza's situation. He quickly walked to Insun, who was constantly gushing blood, and opened the mask of the steel helmet. "Stark," Insun called Tony weakly. "Get up, let's go." Tony looked at Insun, who was getting weaker and weaker, and slowly said, "You have to get up and follow our plan." "This is my plan." Insun's voice became weaker, and his breathing became difficult. "Get up. You still have to go see your family." Although Tony had not experienced any battles, he knew very well that if Insun relaxed his mind, Insun would lose consciousness. "My family is already dead. I am going to see them soon." Tony was silent. He did not know what else he could do. "I have nothing to worry about." After listening to Insun's answer, Tony was silent for a few seconds with a serious expression. Then he sighed weakly and, with an incomparable seriousness, said to Insun, "Thank you for saving my life. Then cherish it. Don't waste your life." After saying that, Insun took a few painful breaths and slowly closed his eyes. Watching Insun die, uncontrollable anger filled Tony's heart. He controlled Mark I to walk toward the hole. In the dark cave, Mark I's figure became clearer and clearer. Outside the cave, dozens of terrorists are waiting with rifles in their hands and aiming their guns at the hole. When Mark I walked out of the hole, the terrorists shouted and pulled the trigger at the same time. The barrage of bullets hit Mark I continuously, and the sound of colliding metal rang fiercely. The impact of the bullets made Mark I sway a little, but none of the shots could penetrate Tony and Mark I's armor. After shooting for a few seconds, these terrorists stopped shooting and looked at Mark I at the hole with a panicked expression. "Now it's my turn." As soon as he finished speaking, Tony activated the flamethrower in Mark I's hands. 2 fiery torrents flew out of it, igniting the terrorists gathered at the cave entrance. Under the attack of the fiery torrents, the terrorists retreated one after another, trying to avoid the flames. But even so, many of the terrorists were still hit by the flames, their bodies covered in flames. Tony's target was not only these terrorists, but also the Stark Industries weapons placed nearby. The boxes loaded with all kinds of weapons were ignited, and one by one, they exploded, just as Tony was planning to destroy all these weapons from Stark Industries. The terrorists at the mountainside pulled the trigger of the heavy machine gun. The power of the heavy machine gun far surpassed ordinary rifles. Mark I, hit by the heavy machine gun, finally stopped moving forward. Even Mark I, who was made of steel, could not withstand the continuous attacks of heavy machine guns. Tony raised his right hand to block in front of himself, to prevent himself from being directly hit in the head by the heavy machine gun. At the same time, the terrorists who were not hit by the flames also began to counterattack. The bullets flew from every corner to Mark I. The dense bullets hit Mark I, and several of the shots hit Mark I's right leg engine, which was not wrapped in steel. As the right leg engine was broken, Mark I, who weighed hundreds of kilograms, instantly lost the ability to continue forward. The colossal weight pressed Tony down to one knee. Even so, Tony still had no intention of leaving immediately. He continued using the flamethrowers to attack the boxes loaded with weapons. The explosions continued to ring out in this unknown valley. After barely standing up, Tony raised his left hand and pressed the jet button on his left arm. Although Mark I did not have the actual flying ability, he had a short jet flying ability. This was also the last trump card for Tony to escape. After pressing the eject button, Mark I did not fly up as Tony had imagined. Instead, he stayed where he was without any reaction. Mechanical malfunction. This word quickly flashed through Tony's mind. After that, Tony decisively gave up on the idea of flying and escaping. He fell to the ground and protected his head with both hands. Boom, boom, boom. After being burned by the flames, the Stark Industries' weapons exploded without suspense. The sea of flames instantly enveloped the entire valley. The powerful explosion engulfed the entire valley, engulfing the terrorists who did not have time to escape. When the sea of flame gradually dissipated, the entire valley was ruined. Traces of explosions could be seen everywhere. The guns and corpses of the terrorists scattered all over the place proved the blast power. When everything returned to normal, Mark I, who had fallen to the ground, trembled with difficulty and then began to crumble. Because of Marcus' protection, Tony did not suffer much damage. Other than his vision becoming a bit blurry due to the shock, everything else was okay. Tony, who came out of Mark I, glanced around. After confirming that there were no living terrorists around him, exhausted, he sat on the ground and panted heavily. Not long after Tony sat down, a figure appeared behind him and hit the back of his head with the butt of the gun. The sudden attack made Tony faint. Before he completely lost consciousness, he saw a familiar face. The one who attacked Tony was none other than Raza, who he had shot a tiny missile at before. The huge explosion woke up the buried Raza. After trying to climb out of the rubble, what appeared in front of him was a messy valley and Tony, who was resting on the ground. Looking at the damaged weapons and his men who had lost their lives, Raza wanted to shoot Tony directly, but when he saw Mark I, who was not far from Tony, he suddenly changed his mind. After an unknown period, Tony, who was unconscious, woke up again. When he opened his eyes, the first to appear in front of him was the angry Raza. "Stark, I have to admit, I still underestimated you," Raza said while playing with the dagger. Tony did not speak, just stare at Raza silently. "I asked you to help me create Jericho missile, and you made such a thing." After saying that, Raza pointed at Mark I and continued, "You kill my subordinates and destroy my weapon. I could have killed you right now. However, I am willing to give you another chance. I will provide you with the materials you want. Help me forge 20 sets of this armor. Not the prototype machine as it is now, but a complete version that can be mass-produced. I will let you go as long as you can do it." Chapter 9, Blood Red Eye with 3 Tomo, Sharingan Tony, who was tied to the chair, looked at Raza as if he was looking at an idiot. Then he sneered and said, "Do you think I, Tony Stark, is an idiot? Even if I help you forge 20 sets of steel armor, you will never let me go. The only thing you will do is continue imprisoning me in an unknown cave after obtaining the steel armor and make me your slave forever." At this time, there was no fear on Tony's face, only determination. "Kill me, Tony Stark, will never help you build any weapon, even if it is a bullet. Never dream that I will help you build anything. Come on, shoot. Aren't you a terrorist? Shoot. Open fire to my forehead and heart. Trash like you is not even comparable to a grass caterpillar. Or is it that you, an incomplete life form, a frog head with congenital Mongolia disease, a chimpanzee with yin and yang disorder, a half-plant with decaying roots, and a dinosaur who rot 3 times a day, do not even dare to shoot? I even doubt that with your IQ that does not even reach 2 digits, can you find the location of the pistol trigger After saying that, Tony spat at Raza, who was in front of him. If this is your last wish, I will help you make it come true now. As soon as the voice fell, Raza pulled out the pistol on his waist and directly put it on Tony's forehead. Farewell, Tony Stark. Just as Raza was about to pull the trigger, an indescribable strange force instantly shrouded him and deprived him of the ability to control his body. The same treatment as Raza was also enjoyed by his 6 subordinates. Tony Stark, your scolding level is slightly different from your IQ. If you want to provoke others, you can use the direct way of greeting their maternal relatives, which will be much simpler. A voice hurried to gasp came from outside, and a sweaty man slowly came in. The person who came in was none other than Roger, who used body flickering technique to run more than 20 kilometers. To prevent any accidents from happening to Tony, he did not dare to stop. He used dozens of body flickering techniques quickly to rush over to Tony, a split second before Raza fired a shot. After entering, he did not even have the time to kill Raza directly. He could only use the temporary paralysis technique to stop Raza from shooting. Who are you? Tony was not affected by the temporary paralysis technique. He was the only person in this cave who could speak besides Roger. My name is Roger. I am a private detective. As for why I am here, the reason is straightforward. Someone entrusted me to come here to save you. While answering Tony's question, Roger found a bottle of unopened mineral water in the cave. He gulped down a few mouthfuls of water, calming his throat that seemed to be on fire. After helping Tony untie the rope on his body, Roger took off the pistol in Raza's hand and casually threw it to Tony, who was moving his wrist. Apart from you and me, only a few people are still alive here. As for how to deal with it, it's up to you. After saying that, Roger left the cave, no longer paying attention to what would happen next. After being hit by his temporary paralysis technique, Raza and the others could not have any ability to resist, so there was no need to worry about anything happening to Tony. After waiting for a few minutes outside the messy valley, gunshots came out of the cave. After a few seconds, an explosion also rang out of the cave. Tony, who had a serious expression, walked out of the cave and asked Roger, "Who told you to save me? Colonel Rhodes?" "It's not him. It's someone you don't know yet. He's driving over now. You'll see him soon." After waiting for nearly half an hour in the valley, Carlson, who was driving an old SUV, finally arrived at the valley. Then he went straight to Tony and extended his right hand to Tony. "Hello, Mr. Stark. My name is Carlson. I am a special agent from a strategic homeland intervention, enforcement, and logistics division." Tony shook hands with Carlson with a puzzled face. He was very sure that he did not know Carlson, and he surely knew nothing about the strategic homeland intervention, enforcement, and logistics division. "Well, let's cut the introduction short. Now you can give me the reward of the commission. Why are you in such a hurry?" Although Carlson did not know why Roger wanted the payment for the commission now, he still took out his custom-made mobile phone and transferred $50,000 to Roger's bank account. The moment Carlson completed the transfer, the commission status in the system also changed to completed, and 10 ninja coins were sent to Roger. Number of available ninja coins, 305. The commission has been completed, so I believe the rest of the things will be handled by you. After saying that, Roger began to sense Flying Thunder God's formula, who was at home in New York. Because he had already experienced a super long-distance perception, the second perception was much more manageable. After establishing a connection with Flying Thunder God's formula in his home in New York, Roger directly used Flying Thunder God technique. He instantly disappeared from Carlson and Tony. Did he just disappear? As he watched Roger disappear into thin air, a look of disbelief appeared on Tony's face. To be precise, he didn't disappear. He teleported to New York. Carlson answered quietly. After returning to his home in New York, Roger did not exchange the coins immediately. Instead, he took his time by taking a bath, changing into a clean set of clothes, and eating a relatively rich supper. After doing all this, he came to the modified gym and opened the system exchange page. "Do you want to use 300 ninja coins to exchange for Sharingan?" "Yes." The moment he made the confirmation, an inexplicable force gathered in his eyes and instantly completed the transformation. When he opened his eyes again, he saw his eye from the mirror in the gym. "Blood red, 3 Tomo." The Uchiha clan's bloodline limit is finally obtained. Sharingan can observe, copy, hypnosis, and so on. It can give the user an extraordinary insight, monitor chakra flow, cast and see through the illusion, and copy taijutsu and non-bloodline limit ninjutsu. This is the real Sharingan, or in other words, the Sharingan in Naruto universe. Because the world Roger was in now was not Naruto universe, but Marvel universe. The system made minor adjustments to bloodline limit ability, Sharingan. The ability to observe the chakra flow was changed to the ability to monitor the flow of energy, and the ability to copy non-bloodline limit ninjutsu was also adjusted to replicate the extraordinary ability granted by the genetic mutation and ancestry bloodline. Chapter 10. Continuation of the commission. Roger was not surprised by the system's ability to adjust Sharingan. When he exchanged for the second Hokage Tobirama Senju's sensing technique, he had already experienced it. Moreover, it was also good that the system adjusted the ability to copy non-bloodline limits ninjutsu into replicating the superpower granted by his genetic mutation and ancestry bloodline. He is the only one with chakra and ninjutsu in this world, and he can't copy his own ninjutsu. Therefore, he was pretty satisfied with the system's adjustment. Copying the extraordinary abilities granted by non-genetic mutations and racial bloodlines meant that he could not replicate the abilities of Spider-Man, Groot, and the others. As for whether he could replicate the ability of Thor to summon lightning and the magic of Doctor Strange, he was not sure for now. After adapting to the newly obtained Sharingan, Roger opened his attribute panel. Host, Roger Job. Ninja talent, sealing technique, 7 attribute chakra bloodline limit. Sharingan ninjutsu. Body substitution, body flickering technique, temporary paralysis technique, shadow clone technique, flying thunder god technique, sensing technique lightning release, Chidori fire release, great fire annihilation water release, water iron cannon technique in release, bringer of darkness technique chakra volume. 5 number of available ninja coins. 5 There was one more bloodline limit in the attributes, but there were no changes to the other qualities and the amount of chakra did not increase. The only thing he cared about now was that the number of ninja coins was pitiful. 5 ninja coins. Roger couldn't even afford the most basic chakra. The only thing that could be exchanged is some regular ninja tools and the special commission scroll for the system. The commission scroll that Roger used to accept the commission was not made by himself, but bought from the system. Each one cost him 1 ninja coin. He chose the commission carefully because the commission scroll also consumed ninja coins. If the commission was written on the scroll but did not pass the system's judgment, it meant that he had wasted a ninja coin. Therefore, before deciding whether to accept the commission, he would let the client describe the contents of the commission and judge whether the commission had the possibility of passing the system's judgment instead of writing all the commissions on the scroll. Of course, his judgment was not necessarily accurate. Whether the commission could pass the assessment or not, only the system could decide. The next target is either Mangekyo Sharingan or would release of Senju Hashirama. This is really a problem. Mangekyo Sharingan or would release both were abilities that Roger yearned for. But the price of these 2 abilities was not low. Mangekyo Sharingan costs 200 ninja coins, and would release costs 500 ninja coins. Mangekyo Sharingan was much cheaper from the price perspective, but this exchange price was because Roger already has Sharingan. Without Sharingan, the price of Mangekyo Sharingan was 500 ninja coins, the same as would release. Forget it. Let's not think too much about it. I only have 5 ninja coins now. It will take a long time, no matter which one I exchange for. I will consider it when the time comes. After familiarizing himself with Sharingan in the gym, Roger returned to his bedroom and began to sleep. New York, in a secret base of the association. Now, it is certain that the person who slaughtered hundreds of our ninjas is the private detective called Roger. Murakami, one of the 5 fingers of the hand, wiped the katana and said, "I propose, use all your strength to kill this audacious brat. No one will trample on the dignity of the hand." Sound, sitting on the Murakami's right, said in a nearly roaring tone. His hands slammed heavily on the table in front of him. "I agree." Bakudo, who was sitting opposite Sound, agreed with Sound's opinion. Simply put, You haven't seen the battle scene in the warehouse and the scars on the corpses. Who could handle that massive flame attack and artistic killing method? Alexandra, who was next to Botu, said disdainfully. We still have hundreds of fearless ninjas, and we still have Black Sky. Sound retorted fiercely. Looking at the increasingly excited Sound, Mrs. Gao, who had been silent all this time, slowly said, even if we send Black Sky, he might not be able to kill that Roger. Moreover, I suspect that Roger is the bait that Chase threw out to let us all come out. After hearing the name Chase, even the most violent Sound could not help but fall silent. Not many organizations could make the Hand care about, and Chase, also a ninja organization, was the one they valued the most. The Chase and the Hand were like two sides of a coin. They had fought for hundreds of years, but had not destroyed each other. If Roger were related to Chase, this matter would no longer be a simple act of revenge. Even if Roger is related to Chase, we can't just stand here. Once others no longer fear the Hand, then the Hand is no longer the Hand. Murakami said thoughtfully as he put down the katana in his hand. As a ninja killer organization, the Hand could be famous in this world because they were cruel and merciless. An association that others no longer feared is like a poisonous snake that has lost its fangs. Let's first inquire about the recent movements of Chase. During this time, let the New York police get in trouble with him first. New York is still a legal society after all. Murakami finally agreed with Mrs. Gao's proposal. While Mrs. Gao and the others were discussing how to deal with Roger, Tony, who had safely returned to the U.S. military base and had a detailed physical examination, found Carlson and asked about Roger. Who is Roger? Private detective. Didn't he tell you? Carlson answered casually. After sending Tony back to the U.S. military base, he also returned to New York. Private detective? I watched him disappear from my sight. Moreover, he miraculously stopped those terrorists, making them unable to move even a finger. This is not something a private detective can do. No, this is not something a human can do. Tony was very dissatisfied with Carlson's answer, and his tone became slightly impatient. Mr. Stark, this world is not completely the same as the world you understand. Science is not everything in this world. If you want to know who he is, you can find the answer yourself. After that, Carlson took out a piece of paper with Roger's firm's address and bank account. He then handed it to Tony. Chapter 11. Meeting the Daredevil. After handing the paper to Tony, Carlson did not say anything else and went straight to the plane that was about to take off. When Carlson's figure completely disappeared from the plane, Tony was still thinking about what Carlson had just said. For a genius inventor, science was all the truth he believed in. But now, Tony began to doubt whether his faith was correct. After a comfortable sleep, Roger planned to directly use Flying Thunder God technique to go to the office. But after seeing his blood-red pair of Sharingan, he hesitated for a few seconds. With his current chakra volume, even if he opened his Sharingan for 24 hours, it would not affect him. Moreover, with his Sharingan, he would also look a bit cooler. The problem is whether he wanted to be cool or not. After seriously thinking for a few seconds, Roger finally made a decision. Being cool is more important. So before going to the office, he closed his Sharingan and returned to his normal appearance. When he came to his office through Flying Thunder God technique, he found that on the sofa of the office sat a man wearing a dark gray suit and a pair of dark red sunglasses. In front of this man, there was a cup of steaming coffee, and in his right hand, there was a blind stick. This person is no stranger to Roger. Or, to be specific, this person's other identity is no stranger to Roger. The person sitting on the sofa, on the surface, is a blind lawyer called Mate Murdoch, and behind the scene, he also had the identity of Daredevil. When he was carrying out a commission in New York, Roger had once met Daredevil, but they just passed by each other and had no business with each other. Hello, I am Matt Murdoch, a lawyer. Roger did not make any sound when teleporting to the office, but Matt still sensed his arrival. Although Matt did not know how Roger appeared, he heard Roger's slow heartbeat. Roger, a private detective. After saying that, Roger came to his desk and sat on the specially custom-made sofa chair. He did not take the initiative to ask Matt about his plan. Instead, he silently waited for Matt to speak. Time slowly passed, and the office fell into a strange silence. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, more than 20 minutes later, they still did not speak. However, their silent confrontation was finally interrupted. The one who interrupted them was not another client, but 2 New York police officers. "Hello, are you Mr. Roger?" The leading white male police officer asked Roger very politely. His partner, the black man beside him, was stunned by the white male police officer's attitude, but he quickly reacted. It was said that the Roger in front of him was a psycho killer who had killed 115 gangsters. After thinking about this, the black police officer unconsciously placed his right hand on the pistol at his waist. "Yes, I am Roger." Although the black police officer's actions were insignificant, they did not escape Roger's eyes. After seeing this scene, several thoughts quickly flashed through his mind. It appears at a time like this, he better deal with it politely and vigilantly. If he guesses right, these 2 policemen must have come for the case in the warehouse. Roger was sure he did not leave any evidence in the warehouse, whether fingerprints or clothes. He was sure he did not leave anything behind. Moreover, before leaving the warehouse, he also confirmed that there were no surveillance videos or other things in the warehouse. The answer was obvious why the 2 police officers were here. The only one who knew what happened in the warehouse, besides himself, was Kingpin. There is no way that he would report himself, so the only person who could report this to the New York police was Kingpin. Roger's guess mainly was correct. The only difference was that Kingpin did not report the news to the police, but completely publicized the information. Therefore, the police were not the only ones who knew about this. There was also the Hand. 2 days ago, in a warehouse next to Hudson River, there was a gang fight. 115 gangsters died at the scene, so we hope that Mr. Roger can come to the police station with us to assist in the investigation of this case. Of course, if it is convenient for you. The white police officer tried his best to use gentle words. Although there was no solid evidence to prove that Roger did the case, he knew the possibility of Roger being the murderer was more than 90%. At this time, this white police officer silently cursed his immediate superior in his heart. Didn't he just flirt with his sister-in-law? Why did he hate me so much? He assigned this kind of task to me. This white male police officer had personally seen that hell-like warehouse. He knew very well that if this seemingly harmless Roger in front of him went crazy, he and his partner had no chance of leaving alive. The people who died in the warehouse were not gangsters. They were Ninja of the Hand's people. Only those idiot reporters would treat the Ninja of the Hand as ordinary gangsters. "Officer, what's your name?" Roger did not answer his question. Instead, he asked for his name. "Jack, my name is Jack." Jack couldn't help but use a respectful tone towards Roger as he replied. "Officer Jack, I am a private detective. I am personally delighted to help the police investigate the case. After all, I'm also a person who is happy to cooperate with the police. But you see, I happen to have a client here," so Roger did not say it explicitly, but he was sure that Jack understood his meaning. I understand. Since Mr. Roger, you're not free right now, I will not disturb you. If you're free, you can come directly to our police station. Then I will not disturb your work any longer. Goodbye." After saying that, Jack bowed slightly to Roger, took his partner out of the office as quickly as possible, and carefully closed the office door. "Since you acknowledge me as your client, can I show the commission now?" After Jack left, Matt stood up and went straight to Roger. "Tell me about the contents of your commission first, and then I will decide whether to accept your commission or not." Chapter 12, New Commission. "I hope you can come with me to save my girlfriend Erica." When he heard the word girlfriend, Roger suddenly felt that he did not really want to work today. However, when he remembered that he only had 5 ninja coins remaining, he became softened and said, "Tell me clearly, what exactly is going on?" "Erica and I met when we were in college. At that time, we were a couple, but later we broke up. We can skip this part." He felt saltier when he heard the backstory, which made him even more pitiful. "I had a martial arts teacher, but later, Erica became my teacher's student for some reason. She wanted to join my teacher's organization, but my teacher refused. To prove her ability, she joins the Hand, hoping to eliminate the Hand from the inside and prove her ability. About 10 days ago, I saw her in New York, but she attacked me together with Ninja of the Hand as if she didn't know me. I was lucky to escape, and then I searched for her several times and tried to talk to her, but she still didn't know me and kept attacking me. I suspect she was brainwashed by the Hand, so I hope you can come with me to save her. I can't do this with my own strength. But I heard about you 2 days ago, so I came here to ask for your help. After listening to Matt's story, Roger roughly understood the ins and outs of the matter. First of all, I must correct you that she is not your girlfriend. She is your ex-girlfriend, or you can treat her as your junior sister. When you write a commission, you have to remember this. And then, I'm kind of interested in your commission at the moment, but there's still one last step before I decide to accept your commission or not. After saying that, Roger took out one of the only 2 scrolls in the drawer and opened it on the desk. Write down the content of the commission. There is no need to be too complicated. There is no need to write about the ins and outs of the case. Just write the mission, expected results, and commission rewards. According to Roger's experience, the possibility of this commission passing the system assessment was very high. Not only did it involve the Hand, but it also involved Chase, Erica, and Matt, the Daredevil. Therefore, there should be no problems with passing the system's assessment. As he expected, when Matt signed his name at the end of the mission scroll, a new mission appeared in the system panel. Mission content: get Erica out of the Hand's control. Mission status: incomplete. Mission reward: 20 ninja coins. Roger was slightly stunned when he saw that the reward was 20 ninja coins. The system had only given him a reward of 10 ninja coins to rescue the kidnapped Tony Stark. This system was a bit more biased towards women. This was not good, very bad. Roger glanced at the reward Matt had marked out when he put away the commission scroll. $500,000. No, didn't they say that Daredevil was relatively poor? It didn't seem to look like that. Or was all of this the power of love? After putting away the commission scroll, Roger told Matt, the reward for the commission needs to be paid within 12 hours after the commission is completed. There should be no problem with this, right? Roger was not worried that Matt would go back on his word, but this was his habit. Even if it were for Kingpin's commission, he would still do the same thing, even though Kingpin later went back on his word. No problem. Matt nodded, indicating that there was no problem with the condition. And when would you like us to leave? Although I'm open to any time, I'd suggest waiting until evening. When describing the contents of the commission just now, Matt had already planned to reveal his identity as the Daredevil. So he knew very well why Roger suggested deploying at night. Gather at the rooftop of my office at 10 o'clock tonight. Matt handed Roger a business card with his office's detailed address. After Matt left, Roger continued to lie on his sofa sluggishly, wondering if he should visit his old friend Kingpin now. However, he eventually gave up on the idea. Although the act of Kingpin deliberately leaking the news was quite disgusting, his intuition told him that this might bring him an unexpected development and maybe a few more commissions as a result. While waiting for the night, Tony, accompanied by Colonel Rhodes, returned to New York and immediately held a press conference. I come to my sense, and I realize that there is more I can contribute to the world other than weapons. Therefore, I decided to shut down Stark Industries' weapon department, which will take effect immediately. When Tony said this to the media, all the media at the press conference were boiling. Obadiah Stane quickly came to Tony's side, euphemistically letting Tony leave the stage. The focus of the press conference is that Tony is back, and he is healthier than before. We will discuss further and then give everyone the latest news. When Tony left the speech platform, Obadiah tried to say a few words and hurriedly ended the press conference. It seems that he still intends to take the path to become the Iron Man. Good. This is good. After watching this press conference that was not much different from the memory, Roger turned off the TV, came to the office window, and looked at the Stark building in the distance. Time flashed by. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Roger, who had changed into a black combat suit, appeared on time on the roof of Matt's law office. At this time, Matt was no longer dressed like a blind lawyer in the daytime. Instead, he changed into Daredevil's classic dark red combat suit, and the blind cane also switched into a dark red multifunctional short staff. Let's go. When Roger arrived, Daredevil didn't say anything and directly rushed to the hand base where Erica was. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Matt didn't choose the regular road. Instead, He took Roger to jump on the roof of New York. Unlike Roger, who had chakra, when they encountered an insurmountable building distance, the multi-purpose short stick in Matt's hand would become two short sticks connected by ropes. Then, he threw one side with a hook to the opposite side and swung between the buildings like Spider-Man. Looking at the exclusive weapon in Daredevil's hand, Roger couldn't help but have an idea. Having an exclusive weapon indeed makes a difference. This also made him consider whether he should exchange for special ninja tools from the system to act as an exclusive weapon. For example, Sasuke's Sword of Kusanagi, Zabuza's Kubikirib, CH, and Madara Uchiha's Gunbai Uchiwa was pretty good. Chapter 13, Simple and Crude Plan under Daredevil Matt's lead. The two quickly arrived outside a secret base the Hand was in. Looking at the office building in front of him, the scene of the Hand's ninja wearing a formal suit and working a 9-to-5 job appeared in Roger's mind. When you go out on a mission, you may have to apply to the logistics department before you can receive a ninja sword for slashing people. Are you sure this is the place? After arriving at the top of a building next to the building, Roger used sensing technique skill to perceive the situation inside the building slightly. He found that there were not many people inside, even less than the number of people in the warehouse before. I'm sure. I've been investigating this place for a long time. On the surface, this is an office of a Japanese logistic company. But this is one of New York's most important bases. Every time there is a large mission, Ninja of the Hand will gather in this place. It seemed that because it was night now, Matt had a different feeling than the daytime, and even his personality had some obvious changes. It's good that you've confirmed it. I don't want any awkward moment to occur. Roger glanced at the front desk on the first floor of the building and immediately came up with a bold plan. What are you going to do? Although Daredevil Matt had never fought with Roger, he was unequivocal that this seemingly harmless man in front of him had strength far beyond his own. Matt even doubted he could survive 1 minute if Roger got completely serious. I have 2 plans now. You can choose one that you like more. First, I'll go in with you through the door on the first floor of the building, then cut everyone on site all the way to the top floor. In this way, I'm sure we will meet Erica halfway. Are you sure you want to do this? Although Matt hoped to save Erica from the Hand, he had never considered such a simple, straightforward, and outrageous plan. This is not a plan at all. This is pure violent recklessness, simple and crude. It seems that you don't like the first plan very much. I still have a second plan. The second plan is that I will enter from the first floor of the building and then cut down everyone on site, all the way to the top floor. As for you, you can choose to enter from another entrance and then look for Erica's trail. With me leading the way, they probably won't notice your existence so that you can look for Erica comfortably. After listening to Roger's second plan, Matt began to wonder if he had mistakenly sought Roger's help. In Roger's mind, it seemed that there was no such thing as sneaking in, and he did not care how much impact it would cause. Looking at the confused Matt, Roger did not rush, but silently waited for him to decide. The client is God. As a private detective, Roger still respected his client very much, except for those who would go back on their word. Let's go with the second plan. If you meet Erica, I hope you can ensure her safety and not hurt her. Matt and Erica have fought several times, so he knows very well what kind of strength Erica has and naturally does not think Erica can hurt Roger. No problem. I will take good care of your ex-girlfriend. As soon as he finished speaking, Roger used body flickering technique and went directly to the first floor of the building. Then, he pushed open the door and walked in. The interior of the building was brightly lit, and the receptionist lady on the first floor and the security guard next to the lobby were all dressed in the uniforms appropriate for the roles they were now playing. This place would look no different from a regular office building, if not for the obvious calluses on their hands. Good evening, sir. May I ask who you are looking for? Roger had only taken a few steps when a hand ninja wearing a security uniform walked over and blocked his way. As a ninja, your camouflage ability is not good enough. The moment he heard Roger's words, the hand ninja's face suddenly changed, and his right hand directly reached for the baton at his waist. However, before the right hand of this hand ninja could touch the baton, he felt a massive force coming from his neck, and then he instantly lost consciousness. After quickly breaking the neck of this hand ninja, Roger slightly moved his neck and activated the new Sharingan he had obtained. The moment Sharingan is activated, the world in front of Roger also changes significantly. If the world before the Sharingan was normal, then after the Sharingan was opened, the clarity of the world was upgraded to blue light, and the whole world is much clearer. However, this was only the superb insight granted by the Sharingan. After killing the first ninja of the hand, Roger did not immediately attack, but gave the other ninja of the hand time to rush over. Finding them one by one was too troublesome, so it was better to wait for them to come over and catch them all. It had to be said that the efficiency of the hand's ninjas was high. In less than a minute, more than 30 of the ninjas of the hand rushed over, and without exception, they were all fully armed. "Come on, you scumbags!" Looking at the group of the hand ninjas in front of him, who had vigilant faces and emitted shocking killing intent, Roger silently extended his right hand and then raised his middle finger. The middle finger was always straightforward and crude, and it was a really effective provocative move. The middle finger surpasses the limits of race, territory, and culture. Sure enough, just as Roger had expected, these hand ninjas, who seemed never to know what was called rationality, rushed up one by one after seeing him arrogantly raise the middle finger. It was as if they rushed too slow. They would not be able to cut him a few times. Since all of you have the title of a ninja, I will let you experience what a real ninjutsu is. With a thought, Roger displayed the only in release he had learned so far. In release, Bringer of Darkness technique. The moment Bringer of Darkness technique activated, all the light in the eyes of these hands ninjas completely disappeared, replaced by pure darkness. After using Bringer of Darkness technique, Roger had no intention of speaking provocatively anymore. He directly walked toward the panic-stricken ninjas and started his killing moment. As Roger was on a killing spree on the first floor of the building, Daredevil Matt entered the building from a corner on the 5th floor. After entering the building, Matt activated his extraordinary hearing to the limit. His whole body was moving like a ghost as he quickly swept through the building, searching for traces of Erica. While searching for Erica, Matt occasionally checked the situation on the 1st floor. There was no overly exciting sound of battle, which meant that the damage and impact of the fight were not that much. After discovering this, Matt heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Roger still cared about the aftermath. However, Matt never expected the 1st floor to be covered in blood and corpses this fast. There was no intense battle sound because the hand ninja who would make loud, croaking noises had all become corpses that would never make any sound. Chapter 14. Body Substitution Jutsu in the office on the top floor of the building. The expression on Sound and Murakami's faces was hideous. In front of them was the real-time surveillance video of the 1st floor lobby. Seeing the ninja that the hand was so proud of being killed by Roger like a chicken being slaughtered, as the leader of the hand, they could not help but feel a wave of uncontrollable anger. The only difference was that after seeing this scene, the grumpy Sound directly smashed the desk in front of him, and Murakami silently pulled out the katana at his waist. This could not even be called battle at all. This kind of death is a shame for a ninja. Although Sound and Murakami could see the real-time monitoring scene in the hall on the 1st floor, they did not know what those hands ninjas had experienced. In their eyes, these highly skilled and experienced ninjas came to Roger one by one and begged him to end their lives. Something is wrong. Their actions are very abnormal. After observing for a while, Murakami was sure that the hand ninja in the hall on the 1st floor was in an abnormal state. However, he was not sure what kind of abnormality this was. Let Black Sky and Erica attack. We can only give up here if they can't do it. Murakami made the final decision. The furious Sound glanced at Roger on the screen and left the room. Sound came to a secret room on the top floor and rudely awakened a sleeping little boy. When the little boy opened his eyes, the grumpy Sound took a few steps back and said, "A powerful enemy has arrived here. Go and finish him. Go, bring back his head." After that, Sound quickly left the room, unwilling to stay in this room for another second. Black Sky was a little boy who looked like he was only 10 years old. He was the hand's sharpest blade and also the hand's most powerful warrior. The moment Black Sky opened his eyes, Roger, who was going to the second floor, and Daredevil Matt on the fifth floor immediately felt an inexplicable chill for the first time. Interesting. It looks like it won't be too boring tonight. Although Black Sky's awakening brought a trace of unusual chills to Roger, it did not cause him any worry. With Sharingan around, he was not afraid of any close combat. Moreover, he also had ninjutsu, such as Flying Thunder God technique, Body Flickering technique, Chidori, and others. Even if Black Sky is extremely powerful, it will not stop him from completing his commission. Unlike Roger, who did not care, after feeling Black Sky wake up, Daredevil Matt stopped his advance and instantly shot up, tightly gripping the weapon. While Sound woke up Black Sky, Murakami also issued an order to Erika, who was on the top floor, to eliminate the intruders at all costs. "Your wish is my command." Erika, wearing a tight red ninja uniform, knelt on one knee to Murakami and walked toward Roger on the second floor. Until now, Sound and Murakami had not discovered that another intruder was hiding on the fifth floor of the building. Perhaps it was because the impression Roger left on them was too deep, or maybe they did not realize that Roger would have companions. After Daredevil had sneaked in, he had not met any of the hand ninjas, let alone battled anyone. The first floor of the building was a standard hall, and the second floor was decorated like a regular office area. As far as the eye could see, it was a typical office space. The only difference from the regular office area was that the people standing in these squares, they were not white-collar workers, but a group of ninjas holding katanas. "You are still working overtime at such a late hour. It seems that you really love this job." As soon as Roger finished speaking, the brightly lit second floor fell into darkness. Ninja of the Hand turned off all the lights on the second floor and took the initiative to create a dark environment, tried to use the darkness to kill the invading Roger. "Your idea is excellent. Unfortunately, your strength can't keep up with your idea." What Roger held in his hand was a katana that he had taken from the hand ninja on the first floor. Bright red blood was constantly dripping from the tip of the katana. The hand ninja on the second floor had no intention of talking nonsense with Roger. At the same time as he turned off the lights, they also threw smoke bombs one after another, causing the dark second floor to be shrouded in smoke. The dark environment and smoke were enough to put ordinary people in a highly unfavorable situation. Unfortunately, these hand ninjas were not facing ordinary people. Sharingan's superb insight made that the dark environment and smoke did not affect Roger much. He could still clearly see the movements of these hand ninjas. He wonders if the higher the floor, the stronger the hand ninja who guarded it are. During the fight, Roger could feel that these hand ninjas on the second floor were stronger than those on the first floor. Although their numbers were not as many as on the first floor, the cooperation between each other, as well as the way they attacked, all seemed more sophisticated and vicious. Taking advantage of the narrow environment on the second floor and the tacit cooperation between each other, these hands ninjas created an advantageous battle situation for them. After exchanging blows for a few minutes, Roger suddenly stopped. He no longer chased these jumping ninjas, but stayed in place. When Roger stopped moving forward, an incomparably sharp attack swung towards his neck like lightning. The blade, emitting dim light, was only a few centimeters away from his neck. The moment the blade was about to cut across Roger's neck, Roger's figure flashed. The blade suspensefully cut through the neck, bringing out a poignant line of blood. The body substitution technique. When he sensed the sudden attack behind him, Roger decisively used the body substitution technique and instantly switched to the position of the hand ninja not far away from him. This hand ninja would never have thought that he would become the replacement target of Roger's body substitution technique. He didn't have time to react. He didn't know what had happened until the blade cut his neck. Roger didn't know many ninjutsu, so he cherished every one of his ninjutsu. Every ninjutsu. He spent a lot of time and energy honing and familiarizing himself with it, and raised these ninjutsus to an almost instinctive existence. For him, the level of the ninjutsu is not essential. The most important thing is how to use the ninjutsu. Even if it were for E-level ninjutsu, as long as it was correctly used, it could also display a miraculous and shocking effect. Chapter 15. The decisive Erika hand ninjas, who were present, did not expect Roger to use such a magical method to dodge this killing blow. The same ninjutsu. But in front of Roger's ninjutsu, their ninjutsu was meaningless, like a kindergarten playground game. "I've been waiting for you a long time, Erica." Although Roger did not turn his back, he knew very well that the person who attacked him just now was Daredevil Matt's ex-girlfriend, Erica. After Black Sky woke up, he used sensing technique to sense the situation inside the building again, so he knew who would attack him very well. To bait Erica, he let her have a good assassination environment. He deliberately held back in the battle and did not use Thunderbolt to quickly kill these hand ninjas on the second floor. Although Erica did not know how Roger did it, after finding that the target of the attack was instantly replaced, she did not forcibly stop, but instead went along with it and killed the unlucky hand ninjas and took the opportunity to readjust her stance. The only people she needed to pay attention to for the current Erica were the hand's 5 fingers. As for the hand's ninjas, they were all existences that were not worth paying attention to, not to mention killing hand ninjas by accident. Even if all of the hand ninjas on the second floor were killed, Erica would not take it to heart. "Although I promise someone not to hurt you, looking at your current state, it seems that you won't quietly surrender. Moreover, I also want to see what kind of ability the student taught by Chase Chief Staff is." As soon as her voice fell, Roger rushed toward Erica like lightning. To let himself feel the pleasure of fighting, he didn't use any ninjutsu and didn't even use chakra. Although Erica had been taught by Chase, in the end, she was just an ordinary person who was proficient in fighting. When fighting with ordinary people, using ninjutsu or chakra was the same as opening the cheating device in a game. The cheating device could easily allow people to win, but it couldn't let people experience the pleasure of defeating the enemy. When Roger attacked her, Erica didn't advance, but retreated and also attacked Roger. Clang! The ninja blade in Roger's hand collided with the ninja blade in Erica's hand, making a clear metallic sound. The next second, Roger and Erica adjusted their posture simultaneously, and the ninja blade in their hands attacked the other side again. Clang! In just 2 or 3 seconds, Roger's and Erica's blade has met 5 or 6 times, but none of them succeeded in hitting each other. After seeing Roger and Erica fall into a brief stalemate, the other hand ninjas didn't hesitate to attack Roger, intending to join forces with Erica to kill Roger. Temporary paralysis technique. Sensing that hand ninjas had made their move, Roger instantly used the temporary paralysis technique and completely deprived them of their ability to move. It was as if hand ninjas had been pressed down on the pause button and strangely stopped in place, maintaining the posture of running wildly. The annoying flies have been dealt with. Let's continue. Seeing that hand ninjas was strangely frozen in place, Erica quickly retreated and made a distance between her and Roger. Although Erica was brainwashed by the hand, it didn't mean that she had no ability to think. Erica instinctively sensed danger, whether it was the previous substitution technique or the temporary paralysis technique just now. Although she had never personally experienced the power of these 2 ninjutsus, Erica knew that if these 2 ninjutsus hit her, her outcome would not be much better than those hand ninjas. After thinking for a few seconds, Erica decisively gave up the plan to continue the attack. Without hesitation, she turned around and ran, quickly disappearing from Roger's sight. This seeing Erica quickly retreat without looking back, Roger was stunned. Are all ninjas so decisive these days? Roger initially thought that she wouldn't give up easily even if Erica noticed the massive gap between them. Instead, she would do everything she could to complete the task of killing him. But reality proved that his idea was wrong. Even if you're worried that I will use ninjutsu, you don't have to run so fast. If I kill you, I won't be able to explain it to Matt or the system. Although he said that, he was unclear whether the system would punish him. In the past 3 years, he had never experienced a failed commission or a situation where he voluntarily gave up the commission, so he had no idea how the system would deal with these situations. Although Erica had disappeared from his sight, it was not so easy to run away from him. Once again, using the sensing technique, Roger quickly determined Erica's current location and the destination she planned to go to. However, his attention was attracted by Daredevil Matt on the 5th floor. To be precise, he was attracted by the little boy in front of Matt. Is this Black Sky? The hand has some strong people in it. In Roger's perception, Black Sky, fighting with Daredevil Matt, was emitting strange dark energy all over his body. This dark energy, invisible to the naked eye, not only strengthened Black Sky's physique to a terrifying level, but also gave Black Sky incredible combat skills. Sensing the battle between Matt and Black Sky, a look of uncontrollable excitement appeared on Roger's face. This kind of opponent, this kind of combat skill, it was simply a big gift from the Goddess of Fortune. Without any hesitation, Roger used body flickering technique several times in a row and arrived at the 5th floor of the building at lightning speed. The second he arrived on the 5th floor, a figure quickly flew towards him. After casually catching the figure that was sent flying like a volleyball, Roger turned his gaze to Black Sky, who was more than 10 meters away. The figure sent flying was none other than Daredevil Matt, who had just fought with Black Sky. Although Daredevil Matt did not have any extraordinary abilities, after so many years of training, he had gained an exceptional fighting ability. But even so, he was still vulnerable in front of Black Sky. If Roger had been a few seconds late, he might have failed his first commission because of the client's death. The second rule of the commission was that the commission could only be completed after receiving the reward written in the commission. If the client died, even if he completed the commission, it would be judged as a failure because he could not receive any reward. It also made him suddenly realize that his previous service model had been flawed. It seemed that there was no problem with completing the commission first and collecting the reward later. However, because of the existence of the second rule of the commission, this mode could directly lead to the commission's failure. Chapter 16. The Real Ninja Battle. In the future, collect the commission reward first, lest any accidents happen. Roger quickly made a decision. After seeing Roger take Matt down, Black Sky did not immediately attack Roger. Instead, he looked at Roger like a predator sizing up his prey. From the looks of it, Black Sky was just a child in his early teens. There was nothing strange about him. However, in Roger's perception, the Black Sky standing in front of him was a demon from another world, a nightmare with a bizarre form. Don't die. You haven't paid yet. By the way, I just met Erica, but she ran away so fast. She should be heading to the top floor of the building now. After hearing Roger's words, Matt quickly wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and struggled to stand up. He intended to go to the top floor of the building to find Erica. But before he took a few steps, he fell forward uncontrollably and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Don't be stubborn. With your current state, any hand ninjas can easily kill you. If you still want to see Erica, stay here nicely. After I deal with this guy in front of me, I will complete your commission. After saying that, Roger no longer paid attention to Matt, but walked straight to Black Sky. After clashing with Erica, several holes appeared in the ninja blade in Roger's hand, but he did not care about this. He danced a few times as he walked. The distance between Roger and Black Sky became shorter and shorter. For people like them, this short distance of a few meters could be reached instantly. But even so, they did not attack. When Roger reached a meter from Black Sky finally moved. Black Sky jumps up. His right hand aims to grab Roger's throat like a sharp claw. Black Sky was as fast as lightning, surpassing human eyes' limits. Common sense suggests Black Sky's attack would tear Roger's neck without hindrance and take his life. But the problem was that the person Black Sky was facing this time was not an ordinary person. In terms of speed, Roger had never been afraid. Just as Black Sky's right hand was about to touch Roger's neck, the ninja blade in Roger's hand had already hit his right hand. When the ninja blade touched Black Sky's skin, Roger discovered something was wrong. Without hesitation, he instantly used body flickering technique and appeared behind Black Sky in a flash. Black Sky's right hand did not tear Roger's neck, and Roger's ninja blade also did not cut off Black Sky's right hand. He strengthened his body to such a degree, although it was only a momentary touch. Roger was 100% sure that the ninja blade could not cut off Black Sky's right hand. To be precise, it could not even hurt Black Sky. Steel-like body, which was initially just a metaphor. But for Black Sky, this was the truth. Could the power of the beast strengthen the human body to this extent? Roger began to doubt whether his previous memories had been wrong or if he had overlooked something. However, he quickly threw this question out of his mind. Even if the beast can strengthen the human body to the strength of steel, he will not have the slightest fear. Even if it is real steel, I can still cut it. After the attack missed, Black Sky strangely adjusted his posture in the air and attacked Roger again. Black Sky's attack was fast, but in front of Roger, this speed was far from where he could not fight back. Black Sky was like an absolute beast, constantly attacking Roger with his hands and feet, even creating afterimages. In the distance, Daredevil Matt tried to use his superhuman hearing to sense the battle between Roger and Black Sky. But he couldn't sense anything. The only thing he could be sure of now was that the speed that Roger and Black Sky had displayed had utterly exceeded the limits of his perception. Matt had initially thought that Black Sky had already used his full strength while fighting him, which was why he seemed to have no power to resist. But from the current situation, the strength that Black Sky had displayed before was even half. No, it is even less than 10%. There are so many monsters in this world, Matt said with a self-deprecating tone. At this time, Roger did not realize that the battle between him and Black Sky would make Matt feel so emotional. His attention was focused entirely on Black Sky, and the excitement on his face was getting more prominent. It was precisely because of this kind of inhuman opponent that it was meaningful to become stronger. After using the Ninja Blade to block Black Sky's attack again, the Ninja Blade he wielded finally broke. Black Sky used his own bare hands to break this high-quality Ninja Blade. When the Ninja Blade was broken, Roger used body flickering technique again to open up the distance between him and Black Sky. Throwing aside the remaining half of the Ninja Blade, Roger said to Black Sky in an excited tone, "For the sake of your efforts, I'll let you feel what a real ninja's battle is." As soon as he finished speaking, Roger gathered his chakra in his eyes. Sharingan. The moment Roger activated Sharingan, Black Sky, who had been expressionless all along, revealed a dignified expression for the first time. His entire body was like a wild beast as he sprawled on the ground. At the same time, he grinned and let out a series of bellowing roars. Shadow Clone Technique. With a thought, for shadow clones of Roger appeared simultaneously with a bang. The second round begins now. 5 Roger attacked Black Sky simultaneously, and each held a kunai in their hands. Looking at the 5 identical Roger in front of him, Black Sky did not retreat and ran straight towards one of them. The distance of more than 10 meters was fleeting. When Black Sky was about to collide with this Roger, a sudden force enveloped him, causing his movements to stop instantly. Temporary Paralysis Technique. This was another ninjutsu cast by Roger. Temporary Paralysis Technique, which could hold an ordinary person for at least 30 minutes, could only maintain a short 2 or 3 seconds on Black Sky. But this short 2 or 3 seconds was already enough. In front of Black Sky, Roger took this opportunity to stab the kunai towards Black Sky's right eye. As if sensing the aura of death, Black Sky, whose movements were restricted, instantly emitted a black mist. This black mist attacked Roger in front of him like a poisonous snake, trying to completely devour Roger in front of him, thus stopping his right eye from being pierced. When the black mist was about to devour Roger, an office chair that could be seen everywhere replaced Roger's position. Substitution Technique. Chapter 17. Black Sky's Death in Front of Black Sky. Roger used the body substitution technique to switch between the office chair and his position, changing the target of the black fog from himself to the office chair. The office chair that was swallowed by the black fog instantly vaporized, as if it had encountered an indescribable high temperature. Seeing this, the other 4 Roger instantly pulled away from Black Sky to avoid being touched by the black fog. At the same time, 2 Roger threw the kunai in their hands at Black Sky. When the 2 kunai were about to hit Black Sky's body, a mysterious black fog surged out from Black Sky's body again, swallowing the 2 kunai. One of the kunai was instantly vaporized like the office chair, while the other pierced a small part of the black fog, then turned into smoke and disappeared. After seeing this scene, one of Roger revealed a smile and silently said, It seems that there is no way to engage in close combat. But what ninjas know is not only close combat. In release, Bringer of Darkness technique. Roger was the first to use ninjutsu. Unlike the temporary paralysis technique, which had deprived him of his ability to move, Bringer of Darkness technique is an illusion technique that explicitly targets vision. Although when facing black sky, Bringer of Darkness technique also had the possibility of not being effective, this would not affect Roger's next plan. Although the black fog that emerged from Black Sky's body could devour matter, it could not stop Bringer of Darkness technique from directly targeting his vision. When this Roger finished casting Bringer of Darkness technique, the other four Roger did not stay idle. They immediately adjusted their positions and went to Black Sky from four directions. Fire style, Great Fire Annihilation. 4 Roger cast Great Fire Annihilation technique simultaneously, and Black Sky's surroundings immediately turned into a sea of flames. Although the power of the 4 Great Fire Annihilation techniques would not be 4 times more potent due to it used from a shadow clone, they could still completely seal off all of Black Sky's chances of dodging. The black fog that gushed out from Black Sky's body could perfectly defend against physical attacks, but Great Fire Annihilation was pure fire damage. Great Fire Annihilation, who came from 4 different positions, hit Black Sky, who had temporarily lost his vision without any suspense, causing him, who was in the center of the attack, to let out an intense, painful wail. When the other 4 Roger used Great Fire Annihilation technique, the first Roger who used Bringer of Darkness technique did not idle either, throwing one temporary paralysis technique after another at Black Sky. Since one temporary paralysis technique could only hold Black Sky for 2 to 3 seconds, he would use more of the temporary paralysis technique to extend the duration of the paralysis effect. When the effect of the first temporary paralysis technique disappeared, the second temporary paralysis technique hits Black Sky again. After the second temporary paralysis technique's effect wears off, and the third temporary paralysis technique hits again, relying on one temporary paralysis technique after another, Black Sky was forced to stay where he was for more than 10 seconds and ultimately suffered the full power of 4 Great Fire Annihilation techniques. When Great Fire Annihilation techniques' flames dissipated, Black Sky, who was at the center of the attack, turned into an incomplete skeleton. With the support of a faint black fog, he barely managed to remain standing. The damage was dealt, and the result was death. At this point, Roger released Shadow Clone technique. The 4 Roger who used the Great Fire Annihilation technique turned into smoke and disappeared with a bang. When Black Sky, who is only a burned skeleton now, fell to the ground, Roger silently summarized his battle just now. Using Shadow Clone technique, he used one of them to attract Black Sky's attention. The main body used the temporary paralysis technique, and Shadow Clone technique took the opportunity to attack Black Sky's right eye. Shadow Clone technique used the body substitution to avoid the black fog, and the main body made a new strategy. The main body and one Shadow Clone technique simultaneously threw out one real object and one fake object to determine the nature of the black fog. After understanding the nature of the black fog, Roger used Bringer of Darkness technique to deprive Black Sky of his vision. 4 Shadow Clone technique cast Great Fire Annihilation technique from 4 directions simultaneously. This original body continued to use the temporary paralysis technique to forcefully control Black Sky, allowing him to suffer all 4 of the Great Fire Annihilation technique's damage. This set of moves is not very flashy, though however, the effect was excellent. It quickly dealt with Black Sky, who was protected by the black fog. Looking at Black Sky's burnt bones scattered on the ground, Roger sighed in satisfaction. This was the best battle he had experienced in the past 3 years. If not for the fact that Black Sky knew nothing about his ninjutsu and was so reckless, he might not have been able to execute this tactic so smoothly. No matter what, Black Sky still let him enjoy the pleasure of fighting. Roger was in a good mood now, but Sound and Murakami on the top floor of the building were in a bad mood. First, Erika fled timidly, and then Black Sky died in battle. Erika fleeing doesn't matter that much. After all, she was just an outsider, a tool that had been brainwashed by the hand. But Black Sky was completely different. Black Sky was the strongest weapon that the hand had carefully forged. In a sense, Black Sky was the ceiling of the hand's strength. Otherwise, as one of the five fingers, there was no need for Samhain to be afraid of a child in his early teens. I can now be sure that he is not chased bait. Murakami tried to calm himself down and said slowly. In the last meeting, they suspected that Roger was bait specially thrown out by Chase, so they temporarily put aside their revenge on Roger. But now, it seemed that their suspicion was highly wrong. Even Black Sky, who the beast possessed, was killed so easily. If Roger was Chase Man, he could destroy the hand by himself. With such power, there was no need to plan anything at all, just directly pushing it. Let's go. We'll have to abandon this base. Murakami turned around and said to Samhain. Samhain did not answer him, nor did he leave his seat. It was as if he had not heard Murakami at all. Samhain has the shortest temper out of the hand's five fingers. But if one thought that he was impulsive and brainless because of this, one would be gravely mistaken. How could a person who could be chosen by Kunlun be a brainless idiot? Even if he were an idiot, after surviving for hundreds of years, he would become an idiot with a great experience. After watching the battle between Roger and Black Sky from the monitor, Samhain became silent, and his brain began to run wildly. When Murakami was about to rush him again, he finally spoke. If we don't leave, we don't have to give up this base. While speaking, Samhain stood up and thoughtfully looked at Murakami in front of him. What do you mean? Don't tell me you want to stop that monster. Yes, I will stop him, but not by fighting. Murakami looked puzzled. Samhain said, before he killed our people in the warehouse. Do you know him? Murakami shook his head. Did we offend him before? Murakami wanted to continue shaking his head, but in the end, he still said, it's hard to say. Maybe his friends or colleague died in the hands of the hand. After hearing Samhain's answer, Samhain sighed helplessly. If the hand really killed his friends and classmates, do you think he will do nothing? Chapter 18. Samhain's decision after listening to Samhain's words. Murakami shook his head again. That's right. This means that before the warehouse was attacked, we had no connection or grudges with this Roger. According to our information, he is a private detective. He suddenly appeared in New York 3 years ago and has mastered magical ninjutsu. Although I still don't know why he attacked our warehouse and brought people here, I have a bold guess. He only accepted someone else's request. That's why he attacked us. Samhain confidently stated his judgment. Murakami seriously thought about what Samhain said, and then had to admit that Samhain's statement was very reasonable and likely to be the truth of the matter. Then what are you going to do? Since Samhain had already thought of this, it meant that he also had a countermeasure. So Murakami directly asked Samhain. It's very simple. Just give him what he wants. Since we have no real business with him, it means that as long as we are willing to take a step back, he will not continue to attack us. Unless the commission he accepted is to destroy us, there is no need for him to kill us. In the face of such an invincible enemy, taking the initiative to step back was not shameful. Although this would severely affect the hand's reputation, compared to his life, these were things that could be ignored directly. Are you sure you want to do this? If we choose to back down, but he is still unwilling to stop, then it is very likely that we will not be able to leave this place alive. Murakami did not object to Samhain's decision, but he was also unwilling to completely entrust his right to survive at the mercy of others. This is only my decision. You can leave this place now. If the commission he accepted is to destroy us, it is better if only one of us died. Samhain also had this concern, so he decided to take the risk alone. Well, it's decided. If you die in his hands, I will definitely find a way to avenge you. After that, Murakami left the room and walked toward the roof of the building. On the top of the building, there was a private helicopter. After Murakami left, Samhain looked at the monitor screen again. You must be the client this time. Samhain left the room and found Erica, who had just escaped to the top floor of the building. Can you still stand up? Roger asked Daredevil, who was still lying on the floor. Yes. It's just that there is no way to continue the battle. Daredevil Matt tried hard to stand up and then walked toward the elevator. Looking at Matt's staggering figure, Roger sighed helplessly. This guy is deeply in love. Obviously, Matt still had no intention of leaving this place. Although he can no longer fight, Matt is still willing to find Erica. Roger came to Matt's side, helped him up, and then took him to the elevator. Erica is on the top floor right now. You can consider paying now. After that, Roger pressed the number on the top floor, and the elevator began to rise. The process of going to the top floor was very smooth. Roger and Matt did not encounter any attacks and quickly arrived at the top floor of the building. When the elevator door opened, a tall black man in a suit and Erica in a tight red ninja outfit appeared in front of them. Matt wanted to rush out of the elevator when he saw Erica, but Roger held him down. He had no choice but to stay in the elevator. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sound, one of the hand's 5 fingers. As for the girl next to me, I don't think I need to introduce her. Sound introduced himself casually, as if he did not know what Roger and Matt had done before. The scene in front of him was beyond Roger's expectations. He did not expect that Sound and Erica would wait for them here, and they were so harmless. In his imagination, when they arrived at the top floor, they should be greeted by a large group of hand ninjas who was full of killing intent. It seems you're not worried about your safety at all. After confirming it with sensing technique, Roger found that there was no one on the top floor of the building except for the 4 of them. Unexpectedly, this scene in front of him was not a trap. Originally, I was a little worried, but after hearing your words, I was completely relieved. As a person who had lived for hundreds of years, Sound was now 100% sure that his judgment was correct. Roger was not here to seek revenge on the hand, and the commission he accepted was not to destroy the hand. After confirming this, Sound's expression became more confident. He slowly said, "If Mr. Roger doesn't mind, let's go to my office and have a chat." After coming to Sound's office, Roger looked around the office and then sat down casually. Although he only took a brief look, he was already sure that the image displayed on the TV wall was the real-time surveillance video on the 5th floor. When Roger and Matt sat down, Sound sat on the sofa opposite them and asked calmly, "If I may ask, Mr. Roger, what is your purpose in visiting this place? If there is anything I can help with, you can ask me directly, and I will kindly help it." Sound's current attitude was not like the notorious leader of the hand. Instead, he was like an incomparably amiable businessman. Was he admitting defeat? From Sound's attitude, this possibility was very high. Considering this, Roger's judgment of Sound couldn't help but raise a bit. Adaptable and wise, an attitude of a great leader. This judgment popped up involuntarily in Roger's mind. Since you are so sincere, then I will be frank. She is our purpose for coming here. No problem. Since Mr. Roger is here for Erica, then Erica will be yours now. Sound was not surprised by Roger's purpose. After recognizing Daredevil, he already understood why Roger and the others came this time. Sound initially did not know Daredevil's real identity. Although the Hand had investigated Daredevil before, they had never obtained any useful information. However, after Erica was brainwashed by the Hand quickly learned Daredevil's real identity and the things between Daredevil Matt, Erica, and Chased. Chapter 19, Unexpected Harvest. Roger was not surprised by Sound's answer. When he found out that Sound had admitted defeat, he knew that Sound would hand over Erica to him. Roger looked calm, but Daredevil, sitting next to him, and Erica, standing next to Sound, showed a look of surprise. Matt was shocked because he did not expect the notorious Hand to show such kindness. Even though the person sitting opposite him was one of the Hand's 5 fingers, Sound, he still felt this situation was strange. This is the Hand who even the Underworld Emperor, Kingpin, did not dare to cross. The Hand, famous for their cruelty and bloodiness in the entire Underworld, admitted defeat like this? Matt began to doubt whether there was any meaning to his previous struggle. He risked his life to punish the evil, but in the end, he couldn't compare to Roger's thunderous slaughter. The so-called justice, in the end, was still inferior to the simplest violence. Just like Matt, after hearing that Sound gave her to Roger so easily, Erica, who was standing straight, couldn't help but tremble. After being brainwashed, the Hand is the only one that Erica trusts. After knowing that she was no match for Roger, she disobeyed Murakami's order and returned to the top floor of the building. She did not mind sacrificing herself for the Hand, but she didn't want her faith in the Hand to be broken here. She believed in the hand, but who she cared about were the 5 leaders of the hand. She could die here and in the hands of Roger. However, Sowand and Murakami must be safe from any harm. So even if she violated the order, she had to return to the top floor of the building. She had to escort Sowand and Murakami out of the building safely. After they were safe, she would use her life to stop or kill Roger. However, she never thought that Sowand, whom she believed in, would give her to Roger so easily. It turned out that she was no different from those ninjas in their hearts. Erica thought of hand ninjas, who she regarded as a tool, and her attitude towards those ninjas. The more she cared, the more pathetic she became. Although Erica was doing her best to control her trembling and control her emotions, those present were no ordinary people, so her abnormality was soon noticed by Logue and others. Roger did not have any reaction to this. For him, whether Erica's emotions were normal was not important. What was important was the system's judgment. Just like Roger, Sowand didn't have any reaction. However, it is only what he showed on the surface. As for what he was thinking in his heart, only he would know. Among the 3 people, the one with the most intense reaction was Daredevil Matt. After noticing Erica's abnormality, Matt ignored the pain coming from his body and quickly stood up. He immediately came to Erica and tried to comfort her, but his hand stopped in midair. He suddenly realized that Erica was not the Erica he remembered, and he didn't know what identity he used to comfort Erica now. Ex-boyfriend? Older brother? College friends? New York City citizen? Matt sat back on the sofa with a lonely expression. His whole demeanor became confused, as if he had experienced a severe injury that could not be healed. Looking at Matt's current attitude, Roger silently cursed in his heart. Don't go and meet your ex-girlfriend when you have nothing to do. People who go to see their ex-girlfriend usually don't have a good ending. Those classic love stories wouldn't be so attractive if love were so easy. Sowand also noticed the change in Matt, but he seemed to see nothing. As if she didn't know anything, she still maintained the fake smile of job. As for Erica, she was still confused because of having her faith destroyed. The only thought in her mind right now was that she had been abandoned by the hand. I accept the hand's goodwill. I don't have any business with the hand. It's just that I had to finish work given to me. So glad that you understand. Since Sowand was such a good person, Roger did not mind giving him good treatment. Understand, I can promise you, Mr. Roger, that the hand will never take these things to heart. It had to be said that people who had lived for hundreds of years were different. Looking at Sowand's kind face, Roger admitted he could not do this kind of thing. I'm not unreasonable. These 2 jobs have caused you some losses, costing you one of your important staff members. How about this? To express my apology, I can consider accepting any suitable commissions from the hand in the future. After hearing Roger's words, Sowand and Matt were stunned at the same time. Sowand did not expect that Roger would put the hand on the list of his clients. When investigating Roger's identity, the hand spent a lot of effort, including those who had been to Roger's office. Therefore, they were evident that Roger would not just accept any commission. More importantly, all the commissions he accepted were completed flawlessly. Of course, the commissions that the hand could investigate could not be all of Roger's commissions, but the information revealed was enough to understand the gist of it. Sowand originally only wanted to use the appropriate level of submission in exchange for Roger's withdrawal, but now it seemed that the hand could gain more than he planned. Even if Roger were extremely picky about commissions, even if he only accepted 1 commission from the hand, it would be a massive yield for the hand. Different from Sowand's delight, Matt's mood became extremely complicated. Although Matt knew from the beginning that Roger was not a so-called hero, he also did not want Roger to be entangled with the hand, assisting or even directly helping the hand in hand. However, Matt was very clear that he did not have any personal connection with Roger. What Roger wanted to do, what kind of commission he wanted to accept, was completely his freedom, even if the client was in existence like the hand. Roger himself did not think so much. For him, there was nothing strange about putting the hand on the client list. He could even accept Kingpin's commission, let alone the hand's commission. As long as the hand's commission could pass the system's judgment, the hand could become his customer. As for whether he would receive the title of hero or villain, he did not care at all. The title of superhero sounded nice, but the price to pay for that title is high. After some small talk, Sowen handed a bank card with $5 million to Roger with a smile on his face, and then personally sent them to the front door of the first floor of the building. As for the corpses of the ninjas in the first floor hall, they had been cleaned up by the hands people when they were talking. Not even a drop of blood was left. Chapter 20. The Punisher arrives. Can you stop following me? I've said it so many times. You are free. Roger leaned back in the chair and said to Erica helplessly. Since they left the hands building, he had told Erica that she could go wherever she liked and do whatever she wanted. But it was unknown whether it was because he didn't express it clearly or Erica didn't listen to him. After being mercilessly abandoned by Sowen, Erica seemed to have decided to follow Roger. Even though he used Flying Thunder God technique to shake Erica off and return to the office alone, Erica still found his office address. Erica didn't answer Roger. She stood silently in front of Roger and didn't say a word. What made Roger even more helpless was that in his office, besides Erica, there was also Daredevil Matt, who was seriously injured. Matt also didn't say a word, as if he would follow wherever Erica went. Looking at Matt's incredibly pale face, Roger was scared that Matt would suddenly die in his office. I admire the two of you. No wonder you could become a couple before. You guys are. Roger seriously thought about it for a moment, but he could not think of a suitable adjective to describe Erica and Matt, the two one-track-minded people. Forget it. You can do whatever you want. As soon as his voice fell, Roger disappeared before them and returned to his secret nest. As for Erica and Matt, who stayed in the office, could do whatever they wanted. He didn't plan to go to the office in the next few days. A few hours later, he opened the mission page of the system and took a look. He successfully saw the information he wanted to see. Mission content. Let Erica out of the hands control. Mission status. Complete. Mission reward. 20 ninja coins sent. Number of available ninja coins. 25. Time passed in a flash. A few days later, when Roger returned to his office, he still saw the faces that made him feel helpless. Young miss, what exactly do you want? Roger's office, which was initially so simple that it only had a few pieces of furniture, was now organized in an orderly manner. Not only that, but there was also a lot of furniture in the office that he had no memory of. After seeing the paints, materials, and other tools piled up in the corner of the wall, he had enough reason to suspect that if he returned a few days later, his office might be completely renovated. I won't let others throw it away like garbage. Perhaps it was because she changed back to everyday clothes, but after hearing Roger's question, Erica answered his question for the first time. Although this is just some idle chit-chat, this was also a good start. If she was willing to speak, it meant that they could communicate. If they could communicate, it was possible to convince the other party. The office door was pushed open just as Roger was about to persuade Erica to stop following him. A white man wearing a tight t-shirt with a white skull painted on it walked in. This skull logo looks a little familiar. Before Roger could recall the information about this skull, the big white man who had entered without an invitation instantly took out 2 pistols from his waist and fired at Roger. Bang, 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 bang. Intense gunshots rang out continuously, but these bullets failed to hit Roger and hit the wall behind him. The Punisher, this guy, is the Punisher. When the Punisher took out the pistol at his waist, Roger instantly recalled the skull mark and decided to use the body flickering technique. Roger flashed to the right side of the Punisher and swung his chakra-filled right fist towards the Punishment's lower abdomen, sending him flying. The Punisher flew fiercely and crashed into the office door, breaking the not-so-sturdy door and heavily crashing into the corridor wall. The Punisher spat a mouthful of bright red blood when he hit the corridor wall. Roger did not use ninjutsu or kunai, but his chakra-filled right fist is still very powerful. Although the Punisher's physique is stronger than ordinary people's, it's still not strong enough to handle Roger's chakra-filled fist. After stabilizing himself by leaning on the wall, the Punisher didn't hesitate and decisively threw the pistols in his hands. Then, he pulled out 2 grenades from his pockets and used his thumbs to remove the safety pin on the grenades. Is this guy planning to die with me? Why do I always meet these lunatics? Temporary paralysis technique. After sensing the dangerous thoughts of the Punisher, Roger had no choice but to use the temporary paralysis technique to stop the Punisher so that this fellow wouldn't blow up his office. The instant his body was forcefully frozen, the Punisher instantly recalled the supernatural incidents he had heard of. However, before thinking about it, his figure had vanished entirely from the corridor, and he instantly arrived at a dilapidated warehouse. To protect his own office, which was initially not very high-end, and to prevent the Punisher from causing an even greater commotion, Roger used Flying Thunder God technique to bring him to a dilapidated warehouse within New York. After throwing away the grenade in the Punisher's hand and removing the other pistols, grenades, daggers, noose, and other weapons from the Punisher's body, Roger finally removed the temporary paralysis technique from the Punisher's body. When the effect of the temporary paralysis technique completely disappeared, the Punisher did not immediately attack Roger. Instead, he quickly pulled away and looked at Roger with extreme vigilance. "You have to die only if you are guilty. It seems that in your eyes, I should be the kind of person who has to die." From the time the Punisher launched an attack until he was brought to this old warehouse, only a few seconds had passed. However, in a short span of 2 or 3 seconds, the Punisher displayed an extremely intense killing intent, and he had an imposing aura of not stopping until they killed Roger. After Roger revealed his true thoughts, the Punisher was slightly stunned, but he quickly recovered and focused on Roger with vigilant eyes. "Others may not know your identity, but I am different. I know who you are, Captain Frank Castle." This was the advantage of a transmigrator. A secret identity was no different from public information for a transmigrator. "You know me?" The Punisher was now 100% sure that Roger recognized him. However, he remembered very clearly that he had never seen Roger before. Of course, who doesn't know the famous Punisher? However, even if you are the Punisher, you can't shoot at me without saying anything, because it would make me very upset. At this point, the aura around Roger changed. From a seemingly harmless young man, he instantly became a tyrant who held supreme power and slaughtered countless lives. Chapter 21. 3 chances. Could we even consider this guy human? After experiencing Roger's menacing aura, even the experienced and knowledgeable Punisher could not help but swallow his saliva. At the same time, he silently took a step back. As an anti-hero, there were countless gang members and underworld overlords who died at the hands of the Punisher. But even if all of their auras were added together, they were not even 1/10 of Roger's current aura. This kind of aura, this kind of pressure, this kind of menace that made the body involuntarily want to kneel. The Punisher felt that the person standing before him was not a human, but a monster who controlled the life and death of all things. A ruler with supreme power. In front of this astonishing and terrifying aura, the ninjutsu that Roger had just used became incomparably ordinary. The Punisher wanted to say something, but in the face of this menacing pressure, he finally obediently shut his mouth. Even his gaze silently moved down a bit, not daring to look at Roger's figure again. After noticing the change in the Punisher, Roger finally withdrew his indescribable and astonishing aura and once again returned to that seemingly harmless-looking, ordinary young man. This was the first time he was so angry after coming to this world. He had just given himself a few days off and returned to his office in a good mood. In the end, he saw Erica, who made him helpless. It was okay, but what made him angry was the Punisher's sudden attack, full of killing intent. Although the Punistack did not hurt him, it instantly changed his initially happy mood into a bad one. He would have broken the Punisher's neck directly if not for his self-control. "I don't know if you attacked me because I killed too many ninjas from the hand or other reasons. But your attack made me very upset, but I don't want to kill now because killing will worsen my mood. So I decided to give you a chance to make up for it. If you become my subordinate, I will no longer pursue the matter of you attacking me just now." Roger initially did not have this kind of thought, but after seeing the skull on the Punisher's body, he suddenly changed his mind. The Punisher's skills were excellent, and his past predestines him to have a lot of great unfolding. To turn such a person into his subordinate, there should be unexpected results, and maybe he could get more commissions. No, I refuse. The Punisher knew well what his choice meant, but he still gave a decisive answer. Some people would not give up just because they were in the brink of death. Very good. Very good. However, I want you to submit to me even more now. Having a personality was better than not having a character. Moreover, the Punisher's skills meant he would be a very qualified subordinate. So Roger was even more determined to subdue the Punisher. I'm not afraid that you have a personality, but I'm worried that you don't have the ability. I can't be your opponent, but I won't be your subordinate either. It's impossible now and absolutely impossible in the future. If you intend to subdue me, I advise you to kill me directly. The Punisher solemnly replied, but Roger did not take his words to heart. No matter in which world, there was an eternal law, an ultimate law that could surpass time and space. The law of true fragrance. The stronger the rejection, the stronger the law of true fragrance in the future. It is a waste to kill someone like you. Since your belief is, as long as you are guilty, you must die. Then I will give you the chance to carry out your belief and give you 3 chances. Hearing this, Punisher could not figure out what Roger was trying to do. In the next month, I will stay in New York. You can attack me at any time or place. If you can hurt me in 3 attacks or successfully escape once after the attack, I will give up the plan to subdue you. At the same time, I don't mind your attack this time. But if you fail 3 times in a row, you will become my subordinate and submit to me. How about it? Are you interested in accepting this challenge? As he spoke, Roger walked towards the Punisher. When he finished speaking, he just came in front of the Punisher. Or is it that your belief is just a joke? Listening to Roger say this almost mockingly, the Punisher silently clenched his fists. Then, he took a deep breath and replied in a gloomy tone, "Since you want to play, I will play with you. However, if you lose, you will die. If you can do it, do it. I appreciate your confidence." After saying that, Roger patted the Punisher on the shoulder and returned to his office through Flying Thunder God technique. When he returned to his office, the one who appeared before him was still Erica. However, Erica was trying to install the door broken by the Punisher. Erica noticed Roger, but she didn't talk to him. She continued installing the door, trying to restore it to its original state. Looking at Erica's back, Roger seriously thought for a few seconds and said, "If you really want to stay here, that's fine, but only if you become an assistant in the office." Hearing Roger's words, Erica stopped. After a period of silence, she said without looking back, "No problem, as long as you pay my salary." Roger didn't answer Erica. He just opened his desk drawer and took out the bank card that Sound gave him last night. "The money inside will be the fund of the office. Your salary and office expenses will be paid from this card." After throwing the bank card at Erica like a dart, Roger used Flying Thunder God technique to return home, open the PS4, and played the game. As for the challenge between him and the Punisher, he did not take it to heart, because the Punisher was sure to lose. After the Punisher agreed to his casual challenge, he left Flying Thunder God's formula on the Punisher when he patted the Punisher on the shoulder. With Flying Thunder God's formula here, the Punisher couldn't have a chance to escape smoothly, and it was impossible to have the possibility of successfully attacking him. As long as he sensed Flying Thunder God's formula on the Punisher, he would be able to know the Punisher's position very clearly and even appear directly in front of the Punisher. So this challenge was not a fair game from the beginning. Ninjas were not knights, so there was no need to pursue the so-called fairness foolishly. As long as he could complete the goal, he did not mind using some dirty tricks. Chapter 22. Tony's invitation. In the next few days, Roger would go to his office every day to see if any commissions could pass the system's judgment. He didn't know if the previous missions had used up all his good luck, but not many customers came to visit these days, and the contents of the commissions were also a bit difficult to describe. Find a lost pet cat. Find the old classmates from more than 10 years ago. Protect a group of rich second generations who are going to Yama Forest. Roger didn't even have the interest to answer these kinds of clients, directly telling Erica to ignore them. Aren't there any better commissions? Lying on the sofa, Roger stared at the office ceiling with a bored face, holding a balloon full of water in his right hand. The water in the balloon seemed to be boiling, constantly bulging, making the smooth surface of the balloon bulge. Sitting on the other side, Erica curiously looked at the water ball in Roger's hand and then asked doubtfully, "Is this your ninjutsu training method?" Erica was also a ninja, but she had never seen a ninja like Roger, nor had she seen a ninjutsu like Roger's. Erica had a profound impression of Roger's ninjutsu, and also had a strong yearning. Not training. I'm learning a new ninjutsu. Roger's initial plan was to exchange for Rasengan in the system directly, but after having Sharingan, he changed his mind. The principle of Rasengan was straightforward. Concentrate the chakra in hand, then control the chakra to constantly flow in an irregular direction, compress it, and finally form a palm-sized chakra ball. Therefore, to master Rasengan, besides directly exchanging it from the system, one could also use continuous practice to master it. For the control of chakra, Roger was considered to have reached perfection. After all, in the past 3 years, the most he had practiced was the use and control of chakra. Be it walking on the surface of the water or hanging himself upside down on the ceiling, he had already mastered it years ago. Even if he had to imitate Spider-Man on the outer wall or the building glass, there would be no problem. Boom! Not long after Roger answered Erica, the water ball in his hand began to boil violently and then shattered with a bang. After the water ball in his hand shattered, Roger sat up and took out a palm-sized ball from his desk drawer. The first stage of learning the Rasengan was to gather chakra in his palm, and the second stage was the water ball practice. For him, it was not difficult at all. So after breaking the water ball in his hand, he immediately began the third stage of the ball practice. The ball was sturdier than the water ball, and if he wanted to break the ball, just relying on the constant flow of chakra and compression was far from enough. He could break the ball only if he had a solid form chakra ball in his hand. After completing this stage, the prototype of the Rasengan was done. After getting the ball, Roger went back to the sofa and lay down and began to practice making Rasengan again. Time slowly passed. Although the ball in Roger's hand looked boiling, it was still intact and showed no signs of breaking. It seems that there is still a little difficulty. The ball in his hand refused to break. The casual look on Roger's face finally disappeared, and he became more serious. When Roger became serious, Erica also focused all her attention on the ball in his hand, hoping to see something from it. However, Roger's seriousness lasted for less than 10 minutes before it was interrupted by a frivolous tone. "I didn't expect you to be so old and still playing with a ball." Dressed in a branded suit, Tony, who wore a dark brown sunglasses, walked in and looked at the ball in Roger's hand curiously. "Why do you suddenly come to this small office of mine? Shouldn't you be at home recovering?" Roger was not surprised that Tony could find this place. When rescuing Tony, he did not hide his identity. Therefore, he could easily find this place through Coulson or his channels. "Your office is quite small indeed." Roger's office was only a few dozen square meters. It wasn't even a single room. If Erica hadn't specially renovated it a few days ago, the office would have looked even cruder. However, your assistant is gorgeous. Tony didn't change his nature as a playboy. He is carefully ogling Erica from head to toe. After discovering that Roger knew Tony, Erica poured a cup of coffee for Tony and handed it to Tony, who was still standing. "I don't like it when people hand me things." Tony shook his head and did not intend to take the coffee. "Just say it directly. What is the famous Tony Stark doing here?" Roger did not hate Tony, but he just wanted to practice the Rasengan quietly. "As my savior, your attitude towards me is really cold. Can't you be a little more enthusiastic?" Tony came in front of Roger and said in an exaggerated tone. Then, he took away the ball in his hand. "If you're fine with it," before Roger could finish, Tony continued, "I have created a new toy these past few days. I would like to invite you to enjoy it." Although Tony did not say it explicitly, Roger quickly guessed Tony's so-called new toy. If nothing went wrong, the new toy Tony spoke of was the steel armor. However, he wasn't sure if it were for Mark II or Mark III. "Tony Stark personally came to invite me. If I don't go, it will be insulting." More than an hour later, Roger came to Tony's offshore mansion and saw the familiar steel armor in his memory. Red gold color, Mark III. "It hasn't even been a week since you returned to New York. You got the steel armor so quickly. You really work efficiently." "Of course, I am Tony Stark." Tony said confidently, and he liked the appreciation in Roger's eyes. As a creator, what he was most afraid of was that his work would not be recognized. Therefore, Roger's recognition of Mark III also made Tony feel satisfied and gratified. It's really great. This is the beginning of a new era. Looking at Mark III in front of him, Roger could not help but be emotional. Tony did not expect Roger to have such high praise for Mark III. He immediately felt like he had met a confidant. Chapter 23. Tony's Commission, Fight With Me. I want to see how strong this so-called ninja is. When Roger used his right hand to feel the cold metal texture coming from Mark III, Tony suddenly opened his mouth and said that. "No, I refuse." Roger did not even turn his head and directly refused Tony, continuing to focus on Mark III. It had to be said that even with the extraordinary power of ninjutsu, the peak product of mechanical technology like Mark III could still make Roger want to have it. Why? Tony directly came to Roger's side and asked, "I got nothing from fighting with you, and it is also tiring, so I refuse." After observing Mark III at close range, Roger gave his answer. "Your new toy is really good. I will go back if you have nothing else to do." After satisfying his curiosity, Roger had no plans to stay any longer. A thought quickly flashed through Tony's mind when Roger was about to leave. Then, he said very seriously, "You are a ninja who will accept a commission. I have a commission right now. I don't know if you dare to accept it or not." Although he was unequivocal that Tony was goading him, after hearing Tony's words, Roger, who was preparing to use Flying Thunder God technique, suddenly stopped. "The content of the commission is very simple. It is that you fight with me while I wear the steel armor. No matter if you win or lose, I will give you a generous reward. How about it? Do you want to accept it? Or are you afraid of my Mark III, so you don't even dare to fight me?" Tony deliberately said in a mocking tone. His face was filled with confidence. Seeing Tony like this, Roger helplessly shook his head and gave his answer. "Money doesn't interest me, but since you are so confident, I will show you." As soon as he finished speaking, Roger's figure disappeared in front of Tony. Although it was not the first time he had seen Roger disappear in an instant, Tony still felt some fear towards this ability that was elusive. A few seconds later, Roger's figure reappeared in front of Tony, and he held a scroll in his hand. The scroll in his hand was a mission scroll. "I have a strong sense of ceremony, so if you want to carry out the commission, you have to first write the content and reward on it, and then I will give you the final answer. If you lose, I want to set a Mark III, complete with the arc reactor." After that, Roger pointed to arc reactor on Tony's chest. "No problem." Tony quickly wrote down the content and reward of the commission on the commission scroll, and then threw the scroll back to Roger. When Tony signed the name on the scroll, there was an extra line of information on the commission page in the system. Mission content: fight against Tony Stark wearing Mark III once. Mission status: not complete. Mission reward: 5 ninja coins. After seeing Tony's commission pass the judgment, a satisfied look appeared on Roger's face. Finally, there would be more ninja coins to earn. Although it is only a tiny number of ninja coins, no matter how small, a ninja coin is still a ninja coin, so Roger did not mind. The difficulty of the commission was very low. He did not need to spend much time and energy, and he could also obtain a set of Mark III as a trophy. This was an outstanding commission and was even ranked in the top 3 of all the commissions that Roger had carried out. "I accept your request. When do you want to start this battle?" "Right now. The battlefield is right here." Tony originally wanted to say that he would fight directly here, but after looking at his garage, he decisively gave up on this idea. "You can decide the battlefield. Since that's the case, let's fight outside." Roger casually pointed out the window and quickly determined the battle's location. "Outside? It's the sea outside. Do you want to fight me in the sea?" Tony asked with a puzzled face. "No, I'm not fighting with you in the sea. I'm fighting you outside. You can fly in the air, but you can also dive into the sea. You're free to choose." Looking at the sea outside, although Tony did not understand how Roger would fight in that place, he still agreed. Tony quickly finished wearing Mark III, then flew out of the garage to the sea several kilometers away. just as Tony was about to look back and see how Roger would come to this place. Roger's figure appeared out of thin air in front of him, and then he quickly fell under the influence of gravity. Although Tony did not fly very high, he was still several meters above sea level. Looking at Roger's rapidly falling figure, Tony originally wanted to fly over to save Roger, but in the end, he gave up this idea. He wanted to see how this ninja, who had mastered the mysterious ninjutsu, would resolve the situation and
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.